This week's podcast is presented by GK Calls, Migra Ammunition, Gibraltar Duck Hunters Association, Gibraltar Boatyard, Turtle Box, Gator Decoys, Hunt Proof, Cooler Guard, Pattern Pros, Hodag, and last but not least, I'd like to have a huge shout out to Brian Ellithorpe for all of the support that he does behind the scenes. Now let's get into today's episode. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Great Lakes Outdoors podcast. Travis and I are sitting here with a special guest. We've been talking for a while, trying to get you in here. We finally got it done after your busy season. We got Cody with Heritage Taxidermy. How you doing, man?
Good.
Finally got you in. I'm excited. We got a lot to cover today, I feel like.
I think you contacted me, like late October?
Probably the worst time to contact a taxidermist. Yeah. It was about that time.
But you guys, season, yeah. I'm in the shop doing whatever I can.
Yeah, it was after I sent that, I was like, yeah, it's probably not the greatest time. I feel like it was just one of those things where when I first seen you, I was like, how have I not heard of you before when you're that close to the house even, you know what I mean? So it kind of worked out perfectly though.
Yeah.
Worked out perfect. But what about, tell everybody about you, about the company, just a little bit of a background, I guess.
Yeah, well, like I was telling you guys before we got on this, I started when I was 13 years old. Strangely enough, like I guess up until recently, I've been like 100% self-taught, which obviously like we should always be learning in the taxidermy game. There's always new things, new references, whatever. Right. Obviously, every single animal out there does different things and looks a little bit different. So we try and tweak it and make sure that we got the best of every world. But like I started when I was 13. My art teacher, we went to the high school in middle school for art class, 6 weeks a semester or something like that. So they split it up. So you just kind of get a taste of high school and get you prepped. And one day he was like, my brother was a big artist, so he was in class all the time, and so we knew him really well. He just kind of like looks at us one day in class and he's like, hey, the school gave me permission to do taxidermy in the pottery room. And he's like, I'm going to try and start up like my retirement business because I'm going to be retiring in like 6 or 8 years or 10 years or whatever. And it's a form of art. So they're like, yeah, go ahead. So he already owned a pottery business. He was an art teacher and now he's starting taxidermy in the art room. And I was like, cool, I'm going to start with you. And he's like, no, you're not. And like, I was bullheaded. I'm like, yeah, I am. No, you're not. Yeah, I am. So we fought a little bit and he's like, fine, bring something in. No shit. The first thing I shot was a crow.
You brought it right then.
And I brought in a crow. So like the first thing I mounted was a crow. And he looks at me, he's like, all right, next time he's like, let's mount something like real.
Like a squirrel or something.
Yeah. School, the session gets done and the next session begins or whatever. And by then I'm 14 and he's like, bring something in. My dad had just caught a 12.5-inch black crappie. And, fish are tough. Crappies are arguably like one of the toughest.
Out of the fish?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they lose scales really easily. Oh. Trout and salmon and stuff are pretty tough. But crappies for like a warm water fish are really, really difficult. And I don't know how. I never lost a single scale. Maybe being 14 years old, had a lot of patience, like just getting into it was like, all right, we're going to do this awesome.
First time doing it, making sure it was right.
Yeah, but like I didn't have any supplies at home. We didn't really have much at the school, and like you airbrush fish.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, we'll put it together in the classroom and then it'll be all fine and dandy. Once it dries up, we'll do like the fin backing, get everything like nice and set, get it paint ready. So we did all that. And he says, when we're ready to paint, we're going to go to my house. And like, I'm 14 years old. Honestly, in all of high school, my best friend was the art teacher. Like, just awesome. Like, I messaged him not long ago. His son texts me every now and then. His son does taxidermy.
That's pretty cool.
But works oil fields in Ohio. And he's like, you're going to come to my house. You're going to use my good airbrush. And like, I'll give you a ride there. We lived maybe like 13 miles from his house.
So were you guys learning kind of at the same time then? Or okay.
Yeah, but like obviously like with me being in school, like he's doing it on the day to day.
Right.
But like I get to do it like every 6 months or something like that.
Right.
And so I went to his house and he's like, okay, here's the paints, here's the airbrush, here's how this airbrush works, this, that, whatever. I'm going to go in and eat dinner and I'll come back out and check on you when I'm done eating dinner.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, have at it. And not like me being a fish nerd already, like born and raised in a bass boat. I was like, I got this. No references, anything. Just know what a crappie looks like. And I start going with paints. and just going to town on this fish. And he comes out, I don't know, 45 minutes later, hour later. And he kind of looks over my shoulder, and I said, well, what do you think? And he's like, give me 1 minute. And he walks away. And like 10 minutes later, he shows up, and he's got like a stack of books, and it's like every taxidermy catalog, airbrush catalog, everything. He just like drops them on the table in front of me, and he looks at me and he says, you're going to be a taxidermist. And I'm like, all right, like, let's see where this goes. Right. So the crappie turned out like great for a 14-year-old.
I was saying, like, good thing it didn't turn out like a rainbow trout.
It is nice enough to still hang in my parents' house.
Really?
Like it still looks good. Like the fin layout is great. Like everything that needed to be rebuilt that shrank, like I did a really good job with it. I would argue to say I was probably better than I am now with fish.
Really?
And I don't know what it was, what I did. Maybe, like I said, maybe I was just super patient. But the next year rolled around. I would have been 15. I was 14 in high school. But he decided, like, okay, once every semester you can substitute a project for taxidermy. So I did a squirrel at home just to practice, and our wildlife class, ag class, also had a wildlife class, like an elective. And I took that, and you mounted a squirrel. That was like one of the last projects you did.
They don't do that.
Well, I had already started taxidermy, so the class is mounting squirrels, and I, mount a squirrel, and everyone's like, "Oh, you've done this before," and I'm like, "Yeah, so what?" Like, what do you do? Like, you guys could ask questions along the way. But like I mounted a squirrel in that class, and then in the art room, I don't even know what I did when I was 15. I know when I was 16, I mounted my first big buck, and it hangs in the shop. Luckily, how I mounted it back when I was 16, 22 years ago. And that one will never get changed, like, period. And, there were like 3 or 4, by that time, there were like 3 or 4 of us mounted deer in the classroom. I won the school's big buck contest that year. Yeah, I went to that kind of school. Like,
I guess
small town Wisconsin, graduating class, 72 kids, the entire school under 350.
Trav knows about that.
Yeah. And just really country, and like all the students would throw down 10, 15, 20 bucks for a big buck contest.
No kidding.
And like I was arguably the outdoorsman of like the high school. Like I did everything. I hunted, I fished, squirrel, rabbit, turkey, deer, whatever it was, I was out. Like, kids would invite me to parties when I was like 17. Like, I mean, a lot of guys start drinking when they're like 17.
Right.
Especially in Wisconsin. I'm like, no, I'm going fishing with Dad tomorrow. I'm going hunting with my brother tomorrow. This, that. And they're like, oh, you can do that anytime. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not going to stay up till midnight, 1 o'clock drinking at 17 years old when I can go hunting in the morning with Dad or my brother. Like,
Trav has that problem. He just had that problem last night, actually.
Yeah.
He, drank a little too much, didn't wake up this morning.
No, I woke up. I just thought it'd be smart that I went back to bed. That's where I.
One way or the other, you would have been sleeping after that turkey this morning, whether it was on the tree or in the bed, you were sleeping one way or the other.
Yes.
But I think by the time I was 17, I was starting to take on a couple clients. Had a little bit of a background, just kind of built myself from there. And we're in a nice generation where like everything's on YouTube. I'm not big into watching that stuff. I kind of did a lot of trial by fire type stuff. And I'll honestly say, like, that first deer was rough. It's not as rough as a lot of them I've seen. Like, I mean, I'm on all the taxidermy pages on Facebook and stuff and follow along. People ask questions and like you'll see some really junky deer, but like good for them. They're making a step. They're trying to get into it. Like you got to start somewhere. And like my first doesn't look great. And like I have clients walking in, they're like, I'd be happy with it. And I'm like, yeah, but it's like, to me, it's this. And my second one wasn't great either. I think I mounted that one when I was 17. I got like 118 inch 10 point. It's really an 8 point with like tiny little splits on his G2, but that hangs in the shop as it is. And I think that one we'll see how it goes across the next like 9 months, but I think that one's going to get remounted for the Taxidermy Association for next year. It's really faded. My mom had it next to a patio door in our house, so like it really like yellowed and faded, and it was a really cool cape, but it is what it is.
Right.
But the original will never get remounted. That crappie will never like disappear.
It's your starting point. Yeah.
I have a bass that my art teacher mounted for me. I sold the other bass that he mounted for me, but like I kept this bass and that hangs in my shop. And I did make a post about that recently.
I'll have to go back and I don't know if I've seen it. Maybe I probably have.
I have so many posts out there right now. So it's all because of the monetization stuff. You try and hit bonuses, and
social media is all just crazy.
So
right
it's
now.
like right now it wants me to make like 18 posts, 30 seconds or longer in the next 7 days.
Holy crap.
But it cashes me $56 if I get them, and it's like, so I do it. It's content out there, and honestly, like it's growing my page, it's growing my brand, I guess, and like it does help. I mean, if you can make an extra couple grand on Facebook throughout the year, why not? They even talked to me about at the association. They're like, we might have you give a seminar just on like setting all this stuff up and like getting other taxidermists involved with it, because I'm like, it's just kind of a nice little avenue and sharing, and like we're out there to educate others. Like, we don't want somebody to get in taxidermy and do bad taxidermy.
Right.
We want everybody to do good taxidermy. There's plenty to go around. There's 500,000 hunters here in this state. How many hundreds of thousands of bucks being killed every year? And it's like,
I wish more people thought of it like that way, even like in the hunting world. Because I mean, like what you were just saying, that everybody starts somewhere. People don't look at it that way, and they just want to dog people or just downplay people, and it's just it pushes people out. I feel like
and even with like me, if you look 5 years ago, you can see a dramatic change in what I've done, especially within my deer. And like, that was me teaching myself.
That's crazy.
And it's just like, but now I went to the Taxidermy Association, and I had a couple people, like, not trying to toot my own horn or anything. Like, I'm very proud of the work that I do.
You should be.
There's a miss here or there.
Right.
It just happens, and it's just like, you'll sit there and scratch your head, and like, there's just a point where you cannot maneuver it anymore without making things like detrimental to what it's going to be. And like a couple guys, and one guy has become a really good friend of mine now. He looked at me and he's like, I can tell you mount a damn good deer. He's like, but now we're at the point where we're starting to look at, very fine details, like how do the little flaps in the nose curl over? Like, Are you doing your inner ear detail right? Have you dropped nictitating membranes in the eyes? And like, I just started. Every deer's getting nictitating membranes now.
Wow.
So, and like, I'm even
Is that because of the shows? Is that because of the TA shows?
I'd done them a little bit before, but there's a little trick out there, and I don't even mind sharing it. Like I don't know if you guys ever buy coffee from like McDonald's or something. They put a little plastic lid on there.
Yeah.
90% of those lids are white, but every now and then a gas station has like the black lids.
Right.
That's what we use for a nictitating membrane on our deer mounts.
Really?
You cut a little sliver of it, you shove it in there between the clay and the glass eye, and make sure that it curls over nice and lays in there. And after everything dries, you get your like gloss around it just properly, and sure as shit, it looks like a nictitating membrane on a deer. And it's so simple. It's like, I can pick up, I have literally 2 coffee lids at my shop, and it will last me 2 years.
That's crazy.
For like 2 coffee lids. But like, wild. I went to the show, and I got the grading is a little different in taxidermy. Like, everybody, and I hate sharing it because like most people don't understand it. It's like, oh yeah, you got a blue ribbon, you got a red ribbon, you got first place, second place, whatever. It's actually like school grades. First place is a 90 to 100.
Okay.
Second place is a 80 to a 89. Third place is a 70 to a 79. So they treat it like ABC actually, but they call it first, second, third, which is still good. Like my deer in professional division, which that gets down in the nitty gritty. They literally take a pen light and they'll shine in the nose, they'll shine in the eyes. Wow. They want to make sure that they can see if you shine a light through our nose, you're going to see red light coming through. It's the same with a deer. Like that septum is so thin that they want to be able to see light coming through that.
Wow.
And then once you get past the professional division, like master's division, you know how deer nose pads have those little itty bitty hairs on them? Yeah. Those are called rosettes. And like, there's actually a dent in the middle of each one of those. And like, you better be denting those rosettes in master's division. So like it's just little itty bitty things.
That's crazy.
So like, my deer didn't do that great in professional, but like I still got ribbons in professional. And for being 100% self-taught up until the show, like, I feel pretty good about that. All of my commercial work got, because there's a commercial division, all of my commercial work got first place ribbons.
That's got to be a huge thing. Like, self-taught, and you have to. Somebody brings in their trophy to get mounted. Obviously, they're going to bring you something that they're excited about.
Yeah,
and it's all in your hands at that point.
Yeah,
I mean that's kind of got to be a scary thing, especially like when you started off, like when you were younger and stuff. Like somebody's bringing you their buck of a lifetime per se, and then it's easy. I feel like it could be easy to kind of really mess that up. I'd be freaking out the whole time.
Well, and like, there's a lot of people out there who are like, oh, I want it tanned by a tannery. I'm like, okay, do you want it in a tannery tan for 10 months? Because like stuff can happen at a tannery too. Like I send out maybe like 50% of my mountable tans, but I can tan in-house just as good as a tannery. It's just that I'm doing 1 to 3 at a time instead of 250 at a time, and so like there's a lot more care going towards each hide. And like I'll readily admit, like I've had slip and fur and stuff like that in the past, and like I think I've fine-tuned it off now that like it's not happening very much. But
everybody has, though, I feel like, you know what I mean?
If you're a taxidermist, where there's a will, there's a way. You got to figure it out. If you have slip and like you just can't throw that hide away, then you better figure out how to fix it. And like there's another guy starting up in Taylor, and I've told him, like, come on in, like you can hover, become really good friends. And I told him, I'm like, Eddie, come on in, like we'll hang out, you'll learn some stuff. Like you can, I told him, if you want to practice, I'm like, I've got spare capes. We'll order the mannequin to fit the spare cape. I've got spare antlers, like plenty of spare sets of antlers laying around. We'll literally mount it up. And I said, I'll continue to teach you, but like we'll hang it in the shop and just sell it. Like,
do you sell a lot like that?
So I do something a little different. Like I told you, full service.
Because I know I've seen you sell like capes separately and do all that stuff.
So like one of the full service things I do is I realized 2 things when I moved to like a metropolitan area like this. One, you get calls for pets all the time.
Really?
Like I could have made a full career for the rest of my life out of just mounting dogs and cats. Like I have in the first year here, 2020, my first full year living in Metro Detroit, I bet you I got 100 calls on dogs and cats.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I still get a call every 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I think word is finally kind of spread, or like that decision is kind of went, and I will facilitate it for it to be freeze dried, which freeze drying actually works really well.
Have you ever done it?
Freeze dried?
For just like
no, I do. So like I've done
goldfish and stuff for people. No, I'm just joking.
I'll mount pet rabbits as long as like there's an industry mannequin. So like a cottontail rabbit fits like a Dutch rabbit really well. So like I've mounted a couple Dutch rabbits. They both turned out really well. I have one in the freezer right now. I got to mount up.
But no, like cats or dogs.
No, I've skinned a couple cats and had their hides tanned for clients.
Easy to me.
So like I'll offer that. I won't mount them because there's no industry. Like I have no desire to cast my own like life size mannequins in that way. But I did skin a dog, it was my first dog and the only dog I've done so far. And it just so happens that we have a dog that looks just like it.
Oh man!
Like ours is a Bichon Poo, and it was a pure Bichon. So it was a little odd. I was like, oh, I'm just getting my dog.
I feel there's a lot of things with that. Because, it's weird. Like, one, who wants to have like their animal like stuffed at their house and just leave it there? I mean, you're gonna set it in a bed in the corner. Right. It's just weird to me. But yeah, I would kind of have that same feeling. Like this could be like my. I don't know.
The way I looked at it was, so like I'm not going to do the taxidermy for it. I'll clean the bones and get them nice and white. I won't articulate them because that's a puzzle. I just do not have the time to do. Like I'll skin them and have the hide tan, because the way I saw it is how do I put this? I shouldn't be able to judge somebody on how they need to mourn the loss of their pet. Because like, cats live for 20 years sometimes, 20, 22, 23 years old. Dogs, I mean, an old dog, sometimes 17,
oh, yeah. Smaller dog.
Old one. Like my dog, she was 14 when she passed, and she shouldn't have passed. It was a whole un-FDA approved, or it wasn't an FDA approved like trial drug for arthritis, and it ended up killing her. They found out some bad stuff with it, and I was like, this dog has been with me since a month after I left college, like my entire adult life for 14 years. And like, I'm still heartbroken over it, and it's been several years, right?
Family member,
yeah,
honestly,
and she was the best pup ever, and like, so for people to mourn that loss, like if you want to pet your pet forever, if you want to shadow box that hide, or like have a skeleton or a skull or whatever, just to have like something to remember them by. Like my thing is I keep their collar, I put it around a picture frame, like that's what it is.
Yeah.
But like somebody else, I'm not going to judge them, and
that is true.
I can put up with the half hour of skinning if it even takes me a half hour, because like the full animal is the hardest part. After that, it gets easy. You know, once everything is like broken down, no problem. But that first half hour is the toughest. Cats, I hate doing. I still offer them. I don't know why. Stinkiest animal on the planet once you get the skin off of them. I don't know. I'll take a skunk over a cat any day.
Really?
They're nasty animals. Like I've had pet cats too, and just no, like cats are gross. So, and it is weird that I offer that stuff, but I don't want to.
Well, at the end of the day, it's money, though. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're doing it for a living, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the moral of the story.
Yeah, but like
when you're saying cleaning the bones, you're saying like you're putting them in like a like in the bugs, like a skull mount, right? Like that's
yeah. So there's two ways to clean the meat off of them. One is the beetles, dermestid beetles. The other is something called maceration. Not to be mistaken for something else, which everybody wants to joke about.
Masturbation.
Yes. But maceration, which is essentially utilizing water and natural bacterias to eat all that meat and stuff off of the bones, which is what I like to do. It reeks to high heaven. So
what's the time frame between the two? Because I'm sure you could probably do both for like deer and everything else too.
If you got a good colony of beetles, I mean, like for a deer skull, they could realistically get through a deer skull in like 24 hours. Maceration though, like I can do a garbage can with 6 or 8 skulls in it and a fish tank heater in a week. You know, but the thing about beetles versus maceration, beetles leave more grease in the skulls, so the degreasing process takes long. Everybody wants their skulls in 3 weeks. Well, that's if you're boiling them and everything. Then that grease is pounded in there, and over the years, all of a sudden the skull is yellowing and whatever. Like I guarantee my skulls, if they turn yellow and it's my fault and it's grease, like because grease moves through time. You know, I mean, your temperatures change, humidities change, and it starts moving, and all of a sudden puddling in areas of the skull. If it's on me, bring it back. I'll degrease it more if the skull can handle it.
Right.
Sometimes, you don't
want to mess it up.
Yeah, we don't go above 120 degrees. We don't want the bone to get brittle or anything like that.
So you don't have the beetles then?
No.
Okay.
No. So I actually have a girl local to here that does the maceration for me this year. So I'm actually behind because she let things freeze this winter and didn't run the fish tank heaters because her finances sucked and she couldn't run that extra electric. So I'm actually probably like a month and a half behind on my Euros, which sucks. Usually I tell everybody June 1st is when my last Euros are finishing up, and this year it's probably going to be like mid-July.
I feel like Euros pretty easy way per se to get. I mean, a fast check almost kind of thing. I feel like a lot of people go with a Euro.
You could, but like if I took in a Euro today, it's hands down going to be at least 5 weeks, at least. Like if it was my main priority and I went straight at it, like
to do it the right way. I mean,
to do it the right way.
I feel like the hardest part for taxidermists is that there's a lot of people that do it behind the scenes per se. They're not licensed, and I feel like a lot of people don't even understand the whole licensing aspect of it all. Like with waterfowl, you got to get the whole stamp. You got to get all of that stuff. But they go, this guy's only charging $500 per se, and this guy's charging $1,000. So I'm just gonna go this route. And if it just, if it's a little off, it is what it is. Who cares? Right. But at the end of the day, it's the longevity of that mount that they don't understand.
Well, and like simple as a Euro, like I charge $225, and that's if you're paying cash. It's $250 if you put it on a card, PayPal, Venmo, anything like that. Just to give that like discount, because cash is king. It always will be. Right. At least we hope it will always will be. We're changing society quite quickly right now.
Rapidly, yeah.
But I'm $225 for a Euro, and a lot of people are like, geez, like I ain't gonna pay that. I'm like, I know some people that charge $400 for Euros. I also know some people that still charge $80 for a Euro.
$400 for a Euro mount?
$400. Not here, but like there's a page on Facebook, and if you ever wanted to learn more about it, it's called Changing the Game Skull Processing. And these dudes have literally wrote books on how to do it properly. Like I mean, they're methods that I was using before they even developed the term for them or like laid claim to fame. But like a couple of them have certain names for them and they're like named them after themselves. And I'm like, I was using this method like 10 years before you guys even decided to like call it that. It's just what it is. But I just put all my skulls like 2 years ago through a new degreasing process just because I boiled all mine back in the day. And it's not that it's not that it's wrong. It's just the longevity and how it's going to look and everything like that. Some people like the natural look and don't care about grease coming through. Like, to each their own. I get like 35, 40 skulls. That's it. Now, and I'm happy with that.
Now, from a let's say an average guy that they shoot a deer and they can either go the route to bring it to you, or they could just bury it in the yard, forget about it for a while. What are they looking at? Is there something that they're not going to see right away, but in the future down the road?
Yeah, that grease really does bury in them when you like do home remedies, whether it's boiling or burying it out in the dirt or whatever. Mm-hmm. And like obviously like you get some like natural tannins and stuff like that in the skull and dirts and whatever to give it a really natural look when you bury it. But if you bring it to me after that, like you're paying the full price because honestly, it's way harder for me to get it clean now.
Oh, I'm sure.
And like I got to use iron out to like try and pull irons out of it and blood stains, and now there's stuck on skin and it doesn't want to like resaturate to get peeled off, or some bugs got deep down in it and they're not breaking down. Like when I do my degreasing process, I use a lot of ammonia and a lot of Dawn dish soap. And like a lot of patience, because I'll put them in a bucket and heat it to 114 degrees for a week at a time. And then I got to change it out. And unfortunately, my shop only has a 6-gallon water heater. So you want to run as hot a water out of it as you can. By the time you hit 3 gallons in a 5-gallon bucket, the cold water is starting to enter the water heater and mixing and actually cooling off the hot water that's in there. So now you don't have scalding hot water coming out of your faucet anymore. So then you got to wait 15 minutes to do the next bucket. And my degreasing tank holds 6 buckets. So now all of a sudden I'm dedicated to an hour and 45 minutes of just a simple tank change. And it gets to be a pain. And like, I would love to let it go but I have clients that are like counting on me for that. And it is easy money, kind of.
And I think that's first, I think people need to know the 3 things that I've learned over time. 1, that duct tape fixes everything. 2, that Dawn cleans anything. And then 3, like you said, cash is king. Yeah. Money is king. But I feel like a lot of people don't understand like the steps behind the scenes of a taxidermist. And they always wonder, like, how do they charge this amount when it seems so easy per se to them, to an outsider's perspective, I guess. Right. But they don't see like the 15 minutes you got to change things over and the steps that you have to take to get to the finished product, I guess, in a good quality product to hand back to the client.
And the hardest thing is too, like you're trying to stack things too. Like I'm at a point right now, like I got a bunch of stuff within the next month that's going to go out. And it's like, do you put a deer head together and spend your like 4, 6, 8 hours for that day doing that? Like, and at break points, like, do you actually take a break or do you grab something else and work on it? Like, I know right now that if I have 2 of the like $75 pieces of wood from Menards, the solid oak, I can go cut plaques and I can have like 8 projects done. But I got to cut, route, stain, or cut, sand, route, sand, stain, and seal. And I have to know, I give options. So I give 3 different stain options, so then kind of you can almost help match your house or whatever.
Right.
But like you're getting a custom cut plaque from me. Like this isn't a market standard or anything like that. When you get a plaque from me, it is an actual, like you're not getting the same thing that everybody else has on their wall. I made my stencil in high school and I have been carrying that through. It's always been my stencil. I did notice 15, 20 years ago that there was something crooked about it, so I remade it, but it's, it just straightened everything up and got a little tidier with it. And, I got a nice bandsaw, I got all the tools that I need, and I have a room dedicated to that. But like, there's days where it's like, all right, well, I should be putting a deer head together, but now I need to cut, stain, I need to cut and route and stain and do this. And then also I gotta lay out this turkey fan, but then I gotta grab this skull and I gotta run a bolt through this wood into the skull and make sure it sits there nice and make sure that I don't get any dirt on the skull that is nicely whitened. But then my turkey fan is setting up, and like, do I put my turkey fan on this? And then, oh shoot, I still got to do this deer. And I had this deer out and I had it thawed. And oh my gosh, I pulled out a duck and that's thawed. And now all of a sudden my day's gone. I want to be with my kids. Like, I'm at 8 hours. I text the family and be like, it's going to be another hour. All of a sudden it's an hour and 45 minutes. Now I'm at a 10-hour day. By the time I get home, there's smells associated with taxidermy. My fiance has a very sensitive nose.
Oh, that's not good.
So like she notices any sort of odd smell as soon as I walk through the door. I think my son has the same nose because he always walks, Dad, you stink. So I like there's some days I would text home and be like, open the garage door, and I'd strip naked in the garage and walk in and shower. And that would be like a day that I was messing with like freshly macerated skulls because all of a sudden it stinks. Or like somebody brings in a deer for €1 and it's literally been sitting in the garage for like a month and a half in a bag. And like, what were you thinking? So I mean, I followed the industry and I charge a rotten fee. It's $50. It's $50 if you bring something rotten into my shop. Just straight up. Like, if you're leaving it with me, you're getting charged $50.
I'm surprised you don't go more. Trey, you got a fan running or something? Do you hear that or no?
Oh yeah, it got really loud like 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
It's not feedback. It just sounds like something.
Anyway, I don't think I'll try that fan in a second. But
yeah, but like you said, there's all these like ins and outs of this world that are so much different, and like nobody understands. I was telling you guys earlier before we started, like I had the flu 3 times last year, and then that means that fixed it.
That's what it was. It's something on your end, Trev. That's you got like a vent that's going off or something. I don't know. Anyway, that's exactly what it is too.
But you got like I had the flu. I hear birds. You hear that?
I do.
You got a bird
outside? The birds are me.
Is it a robin? I don't know.
But yeah, I had the flu last year 3 times, which means I'm the last one to get sick in my house. Mm-hmm. Just always. Almost always. That means my 4-year-old usually gets it first because he goes to 4-year-old preschool. Then he gives it to my daughter or my fiance, and then they give it to me. And like right when I think I'm free and clear, I get it. And I get it because we're guys. We get it. We get sick. When we get sick, we get sick.
Yeah.
And so like you care for your kids for those 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden you get sick and you try to work and like, but your time is cut short on everything. So now that 6-hour project you had to get done, you never had time to do. So now you're doing all these little like 1 and 2 hour projects, trying to keep busy and helping out as much as you can and making sure you're at least staying on track, but you're really getting behind. And then like other things happen. Terrible. Like you don't want to make excuses, and I try not to give my clients excuses all the time.
Life's life at the same time.
Yeah, it is. My dad's had cancer twice in the last like 8 months, and like he's going through chemo right now, and it's a pain. Like this is his 3rd time with cancer in 5.5 years.
That's horrible.
And like there's all these different things that we have to go through, and it's like I'm just one man. Like I did have people I brought in to help. Like they're not reliable help, but it does help a little bit with catching up and getting some things done.
Do you feel like I know there's some companies and maybe not as much taxidermists that I know, but there's people that are kind of in a sense nervous about bringing new people in just because if it would be once they get to a spot where they feel comfortable, it'd be easy for them to branch off and do their own thing, and then they already kind of have that relationship with the consumer, I guess, the customer.
Yeah.
So yeah, the client.
Yeah, and the way I like to, and I actually developed this like kind of model with taxidermy. I thought about it this way: like, how many people do we know that cut hair, that are stylists, or barbers or whatever, and they go in and they rent a booth and like, or they have somebody that employs them, right. So they can either be their own individual that rents from somebody and has a chair in this place and does it for themselves. Or you work for somebody. Well, then you get sick of working for them. And every single person that I ever know that has done hair hates working for somebody. Mm-hmm. And they end up leaving and they take their clients with them. It's just like, it's the same aspect with taxidermy. Like if I were to train you up and you get good at it, well, all of a sudden you've mounted 25 of my clients' deer and they like you and your work, they're going to be your clients. That's just how it is. And like, it's the same with getting your hair cut. But the model I kind of developed, and I'd love to do it this way, and I did offer it to this guy who wants to start up in Taylor. I told him, I said, I will make a space for you. you can use all my tools. We will even order in the mannequins for you. They are your clients. You still charge the Heritage Taxidermy price.
Just give me a cut.
I get 10% of profits or whatever, you know, and I told them, I said, you know, but they're still your clients, you know, so when you leave, you take them with you, because now you don't have to pay me anymore, but you're also now buying all your own mannequins. You have to buy all your own tools, this and that. It gives you an opportunity to grow yourself and still take those clients. But like, there's still an expectation for you to bring in new clients to us.
That I feel like is the hardest part for people that like do that, like whether it's taxidermy or any other work. Like it's one of those things where I feel like they can branch off and do their own thing, but then they don't realize like the tools that it goes into it, and then they don't have half of the stuff that they use at your shop, and then they're like, oh shit, like I'm kind of screwing myself right now at this point. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's one of those things where you would like to see more people into it, but at the same time, it's kind of a scary thing, especially if you're doing it full time and making a living off of it. I don't know. It's just
and it's hard. Like, I mean, a lot of us didn't go to school for business, so it's hard to run it as a business. Like I just submitted paperwork to change to an S corp from a LLC, and that's just purely financial reasons. Mm-hmm. My accountant and I talked about it, and he's like, "You're right on the bubble. Like it'll save you in the long run for sure." So we did. And I mean, I have no idea what to do. I got to put myself on payroll. The business is literally going to pay me now, instead of you giving me $8.25 for a deer head and me going into my pocket. Now it has to go to the bank account. And then all of a sudden, however often I want to get paid, whether it's monthly, quarterly, whatever, now I have to call my accountant and tell him I'm going to take out, I want you to write me a check for this much. And it's like, it's really odd. So I'm going through a big change right now. I mean, it's not going to take like my mind off of taxidermy or anything, but like the financial side of things and the business side of things are so different. And like you guys have seen, I have a street side shop. And how many taxidermists have a street side shop?
Not a lot, honestly. A lot of the guys are just doing it right out of their house, I feel like.
Yeah. Like we decided, since I had a son and we're starting this, and he's adorable. Mm-hmm. He actually is. Like we go to Walmart or Meijer or whatever, and like sometimes we gotta basically bat the old ladies and guys away. Like our kids are cute, and we are blessed in that way. And like most babies and like 3 and unders are not that cute, but I don't know how we ended up with such cute kids. But I guess good genes coming from us both, and ended up with cute kids. And like there was a little bit of fear there, especially in today's society, that like they get seen when we go to places. They get seen, and it's like I don't want, not that like the people that hunt and fish that are bringing stuff in are like crazy by any means, but that means every person that walks through now has an association with my family if I do it out of my own house. So by getting a shop elsewhere, it sucks because like I lose a lot on overhead. Like I'd have an extra 15 to 20,000 in the bank every year, but like granted that would be going towards a mortgage or something like that.
Right. You're not going to see it regardless.
Right. The end goal actually is to build. Ooh, I just got a cramp. Too much fishing, too much dehydration today. Oh, the whole hamstring's going.
You gotta stand.
But where was I?
Building the shop.
Yeah. The end goal is to do like barn dominium style kind of. Originally it was 40 by 60, but now the goal is a 60 by 100, because I realized 40 by 60 is only 2,400 square feet. I am working out of 900 square feet right now, and no lie, double of that is not near enough. So triple that, it'd be starting to get pretty close, but let's just go 6,000 square feet. Go big or go home.
Are you talking about barn dominium for like the work?
Tax? Okay. Yes. So it'd be, but the cool part about it is like out of that, like the 100-foot length, I'd take like 20 to 25 foot of that, and I would actually make like a living quarters there, because like we live near St. Clair and Lake Erie and Detroit River, and I have family that fish and everything like that. So now I have a place for them to stay in like the back
aspect of it all.
And then the front edge of it would be like that showroom, like man cave style showroom, to where people can still come in. There's been some really nice properties that have popped up over towards like way out on Sibley and stuff like that,
Yeah.
that have looked really good. But you know, it's not on like high traffic areas like I'm getting right now. But I've also like developed
Good enough relationship.
a good enough relationship, a little bit of a reputation in the area. I don't want to say I'm the biggest taxidermist in the area, but I kind of feel like I am right now.
Well, with you having a shop, it definitely sets yourself apart. Because I mean, like Trav and I talk about it all the time. For us in general, like if you're trying to sell something or trying to get your name even out there, you have to be different in some aspect, right? So I mean, just you having a shop sets it. I mean, I can't even tell you that the closest taxidermist besides you, to have a shop like that. Or even have a separate like location to store it and work in. You know what I mean?
I honestly think St. Clair Flats is probably the closest. Well, there's just this side of St. Clair Flats is another one. It starts with an L. I can't remember what it's called. But
I guess that's my point. Yeah,
yeah,
you know
but that's
I mean?
way up in Algonac. That's an hour and 25-minute drive for me. For you guys, even farther.
Right.
So you know we're looking at well, actually for you, it's way far, but like. Just up the road from you, you've got Legends over by you. I guess that'd be
Legends. Legends is in my hometown.
Yeah. So and then the guy I was saying that told me like I can mount up a deer pretty dang good is Travis Wally. He owns Majestic Taxidermy over in Ludington.
I know Travis Wally really, really well.
Yeah, and Travis is awesome. I wouldn't have ever even joined the Michigan Taxidermy Association if it wasn't for Travis. Like he's just such a good dude, and like. I've had several people that, you know, I like to refer it to like church. Like you ever have somebody who's like, if you believe in God, you have to go to church.
Right.
To practice being a believer, you have to go to church. No, you don't. Like I can believe in God in my own free will out of my home and like still practice and pray and everything like that. You don't have to go to church. Like it's not a requirement. But like the people who tried to get me to join taxidermy associations over the years were the same way.
Trying to push you in.
Yes. And like if you're going to be a taxidermist, you have to be an associate. No, I don't. And it really pushed me away. So like I kind of got in this realm like over the last few years. I really wanted to do it, but guess what? In April, the show was in April, early April. What's going on in early April? The walleye run,
turkey
and
hunting.
The best smallmouth fishing, the beginning of turkey season. And I'm like, that's actually like a busy time of year for us as taxidermists, or should be, you know, if you're into that, doing that thing. And my brother, I see my brother, he lives in central Wisconsin, and I see him, if I'm lucky, twice a year. Once he comes over in April to smallmouth fish.
Oh, smallmouth.
Yeah, we're bass people. Walleye inferior.
Weirdos.
And the other is deer season. When I go back to Wisconsin to hunt their gun deer season, like I don't even get to go home for Christmas now because
That's tough.
The 2-year-old and 4-year-old have to have Christmas in their own home. Right. Home for me it's a hard 7.5 hour drive. Like
that's tough.
And so like I miss it a lot because like I'm a country boy by heart, and like this isn't country. Like
it's not. No.
It just this metro stuff like. You can find country close by, which is nice.
It's kind of one of those weird transition spots where like you could go down, 10 minutes down the road and it really gets into that country feel to it. But you're not, it'll probably take you, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes to get like nothing but fields wise, I guess.
Right. But like the whole thing about it though is like the show literally fell on when my brother visited the last 4 years. And I told him this. I told him in November, I said, the show's this week. You cannot come that week. Pick any other week in April. And they came the next week, the following week. It was so chaotic because like for like 3 weeks, all I was focused on was getting stuff ready for the show. And I'm like, what if I hate this? Oh my gosh, I did an open mouth deer and a closed mouth deer, but I could really hate this. I should probably take this fox. Because the judge is the guy who actually molded the mannequins for the fox.
Oh, so you kind of got to up on it.
Yeah.
So, that's what's crazy to me, though. Because like
he looked at me and he's like, he kind of leans into me and he kind of like elbows me and he says, if you're going to bring a fox for competition, you probably shouldn't bring the first thing I ever sculpted. He's like, because I know exactly what's wrong with this mannequin. He's the coolest dude ever. I messaged him on Facebook last week with the fox that I just finished. And I was like, dude, thank you. One, I'm like, I still like, if you learn 10 things, you don't work on 10 things. You work on perfecting one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to the next. But like I had never like with predators, you pluck all the whiskers. And
really?
I had never plucked the whiskers on them. And I was just like if I had a whisker fall out, I literally just discarded it. Fox have a ridiculous amount of whiskers. Now, you just looking at a random fox that's mounted,
You never know it.
You wouldn't know, like, oh, it's supposed to have
right
19 per side or something stupid, you know.
Right.
But he even said, like, on a commercial mount, he's like, only put like 8 back in per side.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like, nobody will ever know. But he said, he's like, pluck them all out, put them in a baggie. You got them to the side, and then he said, that allows you to back brush that muzzle, which in turn stands up the fur and gives it a fuller muzzle. And he's like, come back with your upholstery pin, which is a thicker needle.
Uh-huh.
And he said, poke it in there and then dip your whisker in super glue and stick it in that hole. And I'm like, no shit. And he's like, and I'm like, even all the YouTube stuff, anything, I'd never seen anybody do it. And he's like, it's that simple. And I'd messaged him. I'm like, thank you for that tip. It worked so good. And it's literally needle, glue, hair, needle, glue, hair. And like, I put 15, 20 whiskers back in, and instead of them drying and like curving where you don't want them, now you have them exactly how you want them. They're all splayed out nice. And it completely changed the way my fox look now. And I'm just like, I got what was it I got on it? I got a 88 on my fox. Wow. So I was that close to blue ribboning on it.
I'll tell you what, if I got 88 on anything in my life, I'd have gone up on a first. That's for sure. That's for sure.
But he was like, no, he's like, you did really good. And this made me so happy for myself and proud of myself going to the show. I took the 2 deer, which I had intentions to take. I got a 78 and a 79 on them, and they have their problems, but on commercial, like, it would have excelled past.
Right. Yeah. I was just about to say, like, that's
right.
Like fine details.
Yeah. The fox, I was like, I got to take it, and I got to enter in pro just so I can have him judge it. And I got an 88. I'm like,
that's crazy.
And he's like, dude, you're well on your way. And I took a bison, just a shoulder mount bison, just plain Jane straight. You know, and I got an 89, and he was the same judge for that. And he says, he said, your one eye looks great. But he said, there's this one little problem with your other eye. He said, and he's like, obviously some other stuff lost some points, but he's like, if you would have paid more. And I said, it's a commercial mount. I never had an intention to take it. The client couldn't pick it up. And the client was like, take it to the show if it'll help you. So I did. And it was my highest scoring professional division.
Really?
Thing. And he was like, if you would have done this one thing, you would have got a blue ribbon, your first blue in pro. And I'm like, no way. But with the fox,
do you get like a scoring sheet when they grade you? Like, hey, you need to do this better, this better, this better.
Yep. So they give you a score sheet, and they're running through it. You know, he judged like 45 things. The whitetail judge had to judge like 125 whitetail, and like they don't have a lot of time to be able to do it. Because before we even get to go into the showroom,
they're judging.
They have to have everything judged. So like like the one guy judged till midnight the one night. Like he was just in there the whole freaking evening. And it's like, well, now you missed out on anything else that was going.
No, there's a couple questions I had. Do you think like what you were saying about like getting into the Taxidermist Association? What is it called?
Michigan Taxidermy Association. Every state has their own association.
So do you like how they're kind of hounding you to try to join it, get in, and get involved with it? Do you think it's like the same way with the hunting community itself, with trying to push younger generations into hunting, and that's why we're not getting like the feedback with the younger generations getting in and buying licenses and stuff like that? Like people are just, you have to go out and hunt, you have to do this, you have to do that.
It's hard to say because like it's such a different world now. When I first started, like hunting shows were always on TV, but like, what was it? It was all the same stuff. It was Waddell, it was Real Tree Outdoors, and Jockey and a couple others, but it was the same like 5 or 6 people all the time. And now, I mean, I don't even watch hunting or fishing shows anymore. Like I don't even pay attention to the Bassmaster Elite Series. Like I might see who won or who's leading each day, but like I used to like religiously play fantasy fishing and everything. And I just, now there's so much going on in the world, and there's so much pulling you in other directions. And that Facebook post I made, like calling out the DNR and NRC, people were like, well, now we're going to lose people from hunting, and we're doing our best to try and get people into hunting. And they're like, all these TV shows, all they're showing is these canned hunts of 165 to 185 inch deer. And everybody has this expectation to shoot mega big animals, or the prettiest of ducks, or what. Like, we're in Michigan. We're not going to shoot very many pretty ducks.
There's a lot for me with that. I feel like there's a lot of people that like look at different states and have expectations for here, and it's just not reality. It's not.
And like, you know, Michigan, I moved here in 2019, April of 2019. I've lived in Wisconsin, Arizona, Illinois, Arkansas, and then here. So I got to see a different world with everything. Arizona doesn't have whitetail.
Mm-hmm.
They have mule deer and, well, they have Coues whitetail. Coues or cows, however you want to pronounce it.
The blacktails and
blacktails northern.
Okay.
That's like Oregon, Washington, and up the whole coast up into Alaska.
Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah. But Coues whitetail or Cows whitetail, whatever you want to call them, is like southern Rocky Mountains stretching down into Mexico.
They're smaller bodied. Yeah.
A lot smaller bodied. Like I think record book for one is like 85 with a bow.
Wow.
And like 100 with a rifle. So, you know, and I know a guy that has like a 105 inch, and it's like 105 inch isn't, it's so hard. Like I grew up in a family that was, it's brown, it's down.
Right.
Like a deer's a deer. It was sustenance. And that's what a lot of people got in, like, upset with me on my Facebook page for. To me, it's always been about sustenance. If I can't shoot a big buck by the end of season, like, I literally just started passing on deer like 2 years ago. And honestly, I haven't even had that many opportunities to pass on stuff because I haven't hunted that much in the last couple of years, because like the whole focus has been growing my business. But it's like I posted that one, it's 125 inch deer. Like my biggest scored deer is 118. I never scored another one that's very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally scored another one, kind of extrapolating trail camera pictures, and I figure he was 127. And the trail camera pictures, he looks 145, 150 all day. And it just, like, pictures, trail cams don't do justice.
No.
Like, you can say, like, oh, that's my monster. But like, there's total ground shrinkage after that.
Right.
And like, I don't know, like, a lot of people were like, oh, you're way wrong with your assessment of saying like deer 130 is like what's naturally out in the wild. But there's studies that show it. Like, it's nonstop. You can Google it right now and be like, what is a normal, like, mature size deer? And 130 is about it. But obviously there are deer that get beyond that. And it's a good system. It's a good managed property. They've got the right nutrition. They have that, like, animals need three things. It doesn't matter if it's a fish, if it's a gecko, if it's a deer, if it's an elephant. They need food, they need shelter, and they need to progenate. So
water.
They need to reproduce. Well, yeah, I'd lump that with food. You know? But, you know, they need sustenance, they need some sort of shelter, and they need to progenate. And that's like what every animal is designed to do. And you know, it's Michigan, like you said, we're trying to look at other states, and everybody wants to look towards Ohio and Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is Appalachian, big, thick forests. They have their own problems out there. There's not a lot of edge habitat. Ohio is a mix of farmland. You got foothills of the Appalachians, but like, there's a lot of good soils down there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Michigan is very sandy. There's some really good soils in the southern, let's say, third of the state.
Yeah, once you get more north,
basically draw a straight line from Bay City, so Saginaw Bay, across and down, and like, that's where your most prime deer habitat's going to be, because that really like reflects Ohio and Indiana type habitat.
You get a lot more ag down that way too.
Yeah, and agriculture is important. Deer are an edge animal, so you know, when this nation was settled, the deer population was next to nothing, and the only reason deer have exploded across this country is because there was so much clear cutting and agriculture brought in, because it cleared up all this space for deer to live. You get up into and I'm going to say the UP, and like this is a whole different conversation with the wolves and bear and everything like that, and we won't even dive into that.
We
Like
might, who knows?
maybe, but you get into the UP, and like sure, there used to be a lot of deer up there, but like hunters, like the hunters that have gone up there were not as successful as they would be in the lower peninsula.
Mm-hmm.
So we've lost a lot of our hunting community in the UP. Nobody does deer drives anymore. Everybody realizes it was really cold, so everybody built box blinds. Everybody sits on their butt and doesn't get up and move around. There's a lot of private property up there. There's still a lot of government property too, and places you can go. But like, what's the edge habitat in the UP? There's not farm ground. Like you got your river edges, you got your lake edges, and you got your roadways.
Right.
And that's why you can see deer when you go through the UP, because you got your roadways. I drove through the UP a couple of years ago to take an interview up in Minnesota, and basically crossed the bridge, went over to Duluth, and just that stretch. And I drove through at night both times, and I saw just ridiculous amounts of deer. And I'm like, I was dead afraid the whole time through that, because what is it, like a 4.5 hour drive across the UP? 5 hours?
To be honest, I haven't took too much time.
It's even longer than that. It's because I think we went up to it was like 6 minutes,
but
almost 6 hours.
But I saw a deer the whole time, and obviously, like, yeah, wolves kill deer. Bear kill a heck of a lot of deer though too, and our bear management is severely lacking here. Like, it still takes like 10 years to get a bear tag.
8, is it? I think something like that. Yeah,
and
depends on the county.
Yeah, and there's a lot of bear up in the Northwoods.
We got one down here now.
Yeah,
did you hear about that, Trev?
Mm-hmm. I saw it on the news.
Yeah.
Someone's black lab that got loose.
Right. I don't know, and it's so crazy, that like. When I worked for the DNR, it was fish division, but like there was bureaucracy, and that's the biggest reason that I'm gone, because like I had a fight with them over some stuff, and it basically like pushed me out, and I just was like, no, like,
done with it.
And then I started applying other places, and I realized, well, I got blacklisted in Michigan because like when you're a doer and you're a thinker, like they don't want you, they want status quo. And that's why we stuck so long with one of the deer regulations. And it sucks to say that. Like, I don't like bashing DNRs, because like it's exactly what I wanted to do with my life. And taxidermy or guiding fishing was always like second.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. Being my own boss, telling myself what to do, kind of having that leniency. I still get to hear stories from cool guys like you guys.
Can't blame anybody but yourself at that point. I mean,
it's like everything is on me. So like if I fail, it's my fault.
Yeah, right.
But I'm my own boss, and like I'm the smartest person in the room at any given time at my own studio, because I'm my own boss and I'm my own employee.
Nobody to go back and yell
at.
Right. That's the one thing that a guy that I work with, he says it all the time. He says, you'll never like beat the boss. Like, the boss is always right. Don't even argue with the boss. Just go with whatever.
Yeah, but we had an instance. So I'd still be at the DNR if I could have fought through this. But our biologist for my project moved on to be a regional biologist within our own department.
Okay.
And the biologist position opened up for the team that I was on, which was more research based than management based. And I was actually the acting biologist for like 3.5 months, like as the head technician of that program. And I applied for it, and like I was a shoo-in in every way or form that there was. And they gave it to somebody with a PhD, and they said, well, you don't write papers, Cody. You don't go above and beyond. And I'm like, how many times have I asked you for extra work to be able to like do this stuff? And I wasn't appreciated. Like I would ask for the stuff, and I got to the point where I did status quo, because I'm like, why should I reach out and try and do more if you're going to shoot me down at every turn, and then all of a sudden you tell me I'm not doing enough when I've been trying to get it from you? But like, one thing that I did is I made a call one Monday morning. We had a rainy weekend, and I worked on the grass carp team, and we did a lot of work in Ohio. And we went down to the Maumee River that morning. We weren't planning on it. We were planning on going down to the hot ponds down here in Monroe, and just doing some regular surveys that we did, all the time. And we had a meeting that morning, and me as the standing biologist took it as we were driving down to Monroe. And I said to them, I told the guys before we even got in the truck, I said, we're not going to Monroe. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, we're going down the Maumee River. They're like, why? And I said, there's a spawn event with grass carp.
Oh, really?
And they're like, no way. And I said, look at this. I said, look at the gauges. And I said, grass carp like flow, and this is an invasive species in Lake Erie. Well, pretty much everywhere. But it's the first of the Asian carp species in the Great Lakes. And obviously Western Basin Lake Erie has a lot of vegetation, so grass carp we don't want around. And I saw with all the rain that the gauges were just going crazy on the Maumee River. And I'm like, the temperature's right, the gauges are right. I know it's early in the year, but the temperature's right.
Mm-hmm.
And I told them it is a joint like task force with Canada MNR, Ohio Division of Wildlife, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, University of Michigan, USGS, Michigan DNR, University of Toledo, Michigan State. I think that's all of them. And they were all on the call. And they're like, what are you guys doing today? I said, going to the Maumee River. Why? I said, because there's an event. And they're like, there's no event. There's no event. And they were just like bashing me on the phone. I said, listen, there's an event. We're going to the Maumee River. I said, if you guys don't want to join today, you don't have to join today. But I said, I'm telling you, there's an event. We're going to get grass carp today. We caught 4 that day.
Wow.
Now, that might not sound like a lot, but the year prior, well, let's put it this way. We caught 4 that day. And the next day, there were, I think, 4 crews out there. We couldn't make the next day. And they caught like 6 more. So with one crew, we caught 4. The next day, of that four crews, they caught like 6. By the end of the week, we had caught 35 grass carp in 1 week. And we had exceeded any year in the past.
Wow.
And it was because of a judgment call that I made on Monday morning at 7 a.m. And never got any credit. Did I need credit? Not necessarily. But they ticked me off enough that I wanted credit. And
I know what you're saying, though. I mean, you want a little just acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Acknowledgement.
And it's like,
hey, good work. Good work. You know?
Yeah.
That was a biologist call to make, and I made it. And like, I went above and beyond, and
Right.
it never, and that's when I knew, like, this ain't going to be for me. Like, unless I get out of the department, not the department I'm in, the location I'm in, then it's going to end up being something else for me.
Well, that's what's so tough about like the DNR, like the whole the money, like it all goes into one pot and spread out evenly. I think it'd be hard to do it any other way. I understand, but I just feel like there's so many different things. Like look at Point Malay, for example. Like, it's so under, like there should be so much more money that could be thrown into it.
I mean, the waterfowl habitat is there alone, but like even I told you about that one guy that was working it. He's like, well, we don't have enough money to plant this year or plant this section this year. And
that was
like,
last year.
I know it would have been like 3 years ago or something.
Because Point Malay and I think Duck Hunters and Waterfowl USA, we donated. I think it was like $5,000 last year, even to plant buckwheat there.
Yeah,
and it's like, how is the state not giving you guys the money on a state-owned ground? How is the state, or like even the pumps in previous years, the pumps weren't running. It's just kind of crazy stuff like that. Is just
and it gets to be so hard because like, so all your fishing licenses that are sold, like there should be a way to like break this down. Okay, this was a fishing license, it goes to fisheries. This was a hunting license, it goes to wildlife. This was a parks pass. How many people visit our parks every year?
Right.
You know, I mean, I know it's not expensive, but like then you get the random person that comes in the state for one day and has to pay $20, and it's like, all right, like you're making quite a bit of money. Then the government gives them money because there's like grants and everything that go towards the state. But it was so funny because it's like, all right, we sold. How many people come up here to fish every year just for walleye?
All over the country.
Like, you know, millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of revenue coming into just fishing licenses. And then there's a percentage of every boat ramp fee that has to come. Like if you're charging for a boat ramp, it has to come back to the departments. And it all went to parks.
I was going to say, you're paying somebody to cut the grass.
It's so wild. And I'm like, what is and if it didn't go to parks, you know where it went second?
Where's that?
Hatcheries. And I am a huge, huge denier of the effects of stocking fish. Like, it is not as good as people think. Like, hatchery guys will argue it all day, every day, but like, there's more than enough studies out there that show that it is like just the supplemental stockings of like walleye and bass. Like, one, you shouldn't ever have to stock a bass or a bluegill.
What about like the trout? No, like that those hatcheries.
It's always put take, type stuff, and obviously like salmon. Salmon don't belong in the Great Lakes in the first place. Granted, it's a great fishery. Like,
Right.
it brings a ton of revenue. Like, at this point, they're an established species. Like, they're not an invasive anymore.
Even like in the smaller rivers and dams, like Tippy Dam, for example, don't they stock that area out that way?
They still drop.
So do you think like stocking those areas helps as much as people think it does? Or
I think the monies, instead of going to the hatcheries and stocking and raising fish and everything like that, should be put more towards habitat. Like, the dam burst up on up in Midland.
Yeah. You're talking about this past year?
The one that was like 4 years ago. But like, they're rebuilding it, and like, they shouldn't. That ecosystem has changed so much, and everybody's like, well, what about those people who bought like lakefront property on that lake where the dam broke and blah, and now their dreams are ruined? And I'm like, well, guess what? The DNR could just, or the state can allot them that land. Technically, they have bottom rights, and their property line should still go straight out to the river. Granted, their house isn't right next to it. Granted, they don't like get a dock and a boat that they can run around. Right. And yes, I get that aspect and everything in that argument. And I had that argument on Facebook not long ago. But honestly, from an ecosystem perspective, oh gosh, that was great for it. Like, I mean, it just like the walleye run up the river, the steelhead, we're utilizing the river in different ways. We had to do some electrofishing and stuff way up that river, took jet boats and stuff after the floodwaters had receded, after that dam broke. And we got steelhead up that river,
really?
like miles and miles farther up than a steelhead had ever been recorded.
Wow.
And it was just incredible, like how quickly it changed and how quickly fish were utilizing it in different ways. And like, I'd like to see those monies go a lot more towards habitat, but we do pour a lot of money into hatcheries. And like I said, parks just takes up so much of the money, and it sucks because, like, imagine what wildlife could actually do if they were funded a little better.
Well, so no, it kind of goes into a point for me where, people are like super against like the prices of tags and licenses going up every year, right? But I guess my whole thing is I use the hatcheries for example, like the food and the whatever they use for that. Those prices are going up more. Mm-hmm. So since it's like going into one big pot, all the money, they're going to need more money to get to be able to still do that, right? But nothing's explained in that depth, so people don't understand. Like, just because your deer license or your deer tag, it doesn't mean you're going back towards the deer hunting aspect or to help anything out in that realm. You're doing everything. Right. So I mean, if their price is going up on certain things, I mean, gas for pumps or tractors or whatever they're going to use,
right?
The DNR still got to spend money on that. Yeah, it's from the state. I understand that, but I don't know.
Well,
nothing's explained. I feel like the way it should be, and that's where people just go to Facebook to see the first thing that they agree with, and then they just run with that thing.
Well, and one of the hardest things with it was there's this use it or lose it mentality, and it really sucks because they tell you, like, use this money or lose it, and they give you a hard deadline, and then next thing you know, all of a sudden Wildlife or COs has brand new trucks, and it's like, the reason they have those is because they gave them such a hard deadline a few weeks away, and all of a sudden they had $1,000 that they had to spend right now, and they're like, well, what can we do? Okay, let's contact Chevy, Ford, and Dodge and get bids really quick and see who can get us some trucks, because how can we spend this money fast enough? And it's crazy because they're like, well, that's misappropriation of funds. It isn't because of the way that it's a use it or lose it mentality. If you don't use it as wildlife or fisheries or hatcheries or whatever, if you don't use it, guess what? It reverts back to the state, and we can use it for whatever the heck we want to use it for, which means maybe fixing a pothole somewhere.
Well, that'll become a pothole even worse.
Right. Right.
Well, and then the point of it is, too, that if you don't need it now, then we probably don't even need to give it to you in the future, because it's that
Right.
much easier to cut it at that
Yeah,
point.
and that's the thing. Like, if you don't spend it, now they're like, well, they didn't have anything to spend it on,
Right.
so we're going to give them $750,000 less dollars next year.
Right.
And it shouldn't be that way. Like, there should be the monies need to be, and it's this way in every state. It's not just Michigan.
Right.
I ran into it everywhere I went. And when I worked for a system called the Illinois Natural History Survey, and it was a fish division. University of Illinois owned the INHS, and INHS had a fish division because the DNR was so broke. But University of Illinois could afford the research with grants. So we got one of the biggest grants ever in the state of in the history of the state with Illinois. One time we got like 2.25 million.
I feel like state's almost that way, no? With with the DNR kind of thing. I mean, look at it. There were abandoned turkeys this year that
Right.
not a lot of people even knew about. But like, from my understanding, anyway, state kind of held that, and not our DNR was there to help. But it was kind of state's thing. I could be wrong.
But the crazy part with it was like that 2.25 million was supposed to cover us for the whole year. We had a field station of 12, maybe, I think we're working there. But then I found out, so we were all signed on 6-month contracts, and I actually worked there for 5.5 years.
Whoa.
So that means I went through 11 contracts in that time, and I didn't know. They were basically forging my signature every 6 months. And they were doing that for all the technicians. And we got paid dirt. Like, I think when I left there in 2016, I was getting paid $14.10 an hour with 5.5 years of experience and a bachelor's degree. And for every $14.10 that they paid me, they had to pay the University of Illinois from the grant another $14.10. So realistically, I was supposed to get 28, but the way they set it up is every penny that I got paid, the university got paid too. And then there was one time we hit that use it or lose it mentality. And I happened to be sitting there doing my hours on the computer in the secretary's office, and the boss and my supervisor walk in, and they were talking to the secretary about like, oh, we have this much money, we got to figure out how to spend before this date. And just me joking around, I turned around and I'm like, ooh, ooh, ooh. And they're like, what? And I'm like, you could give us all bonuses for Christmas. And no lie, like 3 weeks later, I went out and did just a lake survey, a population survey with my supervisor. And he says, you guys are going to get that, by the way. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, that bonus you mentioned. And he's like, but it's not going to come in the form of like cash on your paycheck. He's like, the use it, lose it mentality, we have to make it in the form of a Cabela's order. And no lie, I taught everybody how to use the bargain cave and everything. And like pre-Christmas, they're clearing out all the last year's stuff and everything.
The bargain cave is where it's
dude,
at.
I got like a $700 rain suit for like $150. And that's what I ran for like 10 years in fishing. And like we each got a $200 allotment, and they carried that out 3 separate years. Like it worked so well to like get rid of the final funds that was use it or lose it, that we ended up doing that. And it's crazy, but like it had to be justifiable though too. So like one girl, she bought like a nice buck knife for like work, but like she could use it for hunting and stuff too. A lot of us would get like muck boots or rain suits or like personal waders for duck hunting. But like it was supposed to be justifiable that we could use it in fisheries as well, but it was a roundabout way. And it sucks to say that those are kind of the things that we end up doing with those. If we lose that money, then next year, when we have more surveys to do and more studies to do, we don't have the money now, to
knock your budget down.
Yeah. And it's a constant battle. But like my biggest problem with all of it, it isn't even necessarily that the money goes to parks or that it goes to hatcheries and it doesn't come down to fisheries or wildlife or whatever it may be. My biggest issue is that wildlife and fisheries violators, like these guys who just got busted for the walleye. I don't know what their fine ended up being, but double the limit. It's so much per fish.
It was like 35 over or something like that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So it's so much per fish. Usually it's like $100 a fish or something like that. So now they owe $3,500. That goes to the county that prosecuted them. It does not go back to wildlife or fisheries, which it needs to. It is so easy to like separate that out in a court case, like give the court the fees that they need, but all of that money for wildlife violations. And I wish I could like I told my fiance, I'm like, I kind of want to run for politics. I hate politics in every way. I am neither Republican or Democrat, and you can yell at me all you want, but like, we need to learn to think for ourselves and just kind of like think for the betterment of everybody. And I would argue for conservation. And that's one of the things that, like, it's political. You need to figure out why wildlife and fisheries violations isn't coming back to wildlife and fisheries. If they're damaging that resource, it should come back to that resource.
The problem with
You
that,
think that would be the way it would be, right? You'd want to put that money back to hopefully better that species.
the problem is
makes sense, right?
Yeah.
when you go and hit the DNR or the state for like to get those guys that just got busted for that and go back to the fisheries, you could go to every single city police department and say, why are you writing this ticket instead of this ticket when they actually did this? Right. Well, it's because this ticket goes back to the city and not the state. Like, if I write this big of a ticket for that person, it goes back to the state, not the city wise. Like a double parking, it goes back towards the city instead of.
And there could be some like under the table crooked crap.
It'd be a chain reaction. It's an unfortunate thing. It's everything would go downhill from there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's no different than like, hey, you're doing 20 over the speed limit, but I'm going to write you for running a stop sign,
right?
You know, or whatever. You know, it does suck, but you know, it sucks that the system was designed that way. It would have been a lot better if once you start something and keep with it, it's too hard to revert back to something else.
Well, and then the problem is when all this stuff was probably, you know, brought up and discussed and talked about, it was before all the technology that we have now. So now we look at it, we're like, it's easy. Just use ChatGPT and you figure out something in 2 seconds, or it'll make something up for you. Back then, it was manual work where they had to do it themselves. So it's easy for us to say that at that point instead of back then, I guess. So it's almost like they dug themselves into a hole so deep, it's that hard to get out of that spot. Look at the deer baiting situation. They did it for the CWD because they thought that's what it was. Well, come to find out it wasn't. But now they're trying to figure out, in my opinion, should we make them pay for something that we took away? Right. And it's a whole chain reaction that they're kind of caught up in. Yeah,
and I mean, like, you could dive. It's so funny, like the conversations that we have, because like you could dive down so many rabbit holes with it. Sure. Like you mentioned CWD, and like I was. Like, obviously, Colorado has had it for decades, but, like, I was born and raised in Wisconsin. Literally, to this day, the CWD zone line is 15 minutes from our property.
Really?
And we have never had to deal with CWD. The closest one has been, like, 18 miles away, which it really isn't that far. Now there's studies saying that a buck during the rut can what was that one in Mississippi? It traveled something like 35 miles.
I just seen something the other day. I don't know if it was true or not, because you can't believe everything that's true on Facebook. But like, there was a deer traveling like all the way up to northern Michigan or something like that. Again, I don't know if that's true. It might have been just something that's supposedly there's a black bear downriver. I don't know.
With predators, it's different. Like, they obviously move quite a bit when they get pushed out of like an area. But do
you think that wolf then moved all the way down here? That was shot a couple years ago. You think it moved all the way down?
Yeah, we had the same thing happen in Wisconsin. We actually had one so I'm in Grant County. So like if we were to do, like, Wisconsin kind of does the mitten too. So like I'm right here in
southwest,
very corner. Like I can make it to Iowa or Illinois in 5 minutes.
Okay.
But we had one, I don't know, maybe like 30 minutes from my house in Grant County. And it's like, that was by car, like a hard 2.5-3 hour drive by vehicle to get to where any sort of wolf habitat is.
I just find it weird, like with the bear situation, the wolf situation, that it wasn't seen or tracked on the way down per se. Like with all the Ring cameras and the cell cams now, like how did it just all of a sudden pop up out of nowhere? And it really makes you wonder, honestly. I mean, there's routes, obviously.
Yeah, and it is kind of crazy. It's so strange, like how much association there is to like this area to where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the same thing happen with a bear. There was a bear saw last fall or something like that down around my parents' house, and I'm like, bear, the same thing. Like it's a 4-hour drive north to find a bear.
Yeah,
but it's probably been like 5-10 years ago now. But a bear from northern Wisconsin traveled down, went past my like high school town, went down into Illinois, swam across the Mississippi River into Iowa, trekked all the way down to Missouri, and there are bear in southern Missouri and Arkansas and Louisiana. There's like no bear in between. It's really weird. But this bear made this trek from northern Wisconsin all the way down. It got down into southern Missouri. Wisconsin agreed, Iowa agreed, Illinois agreed. They're all like, we're just going to let this bear do its thing. And it's great. This is how populations work. This is how wildlife works. Like, they move, they establish new territories. They'll interbreed and kind of start new genetics and new areas, whatever. But everybody agreed we're going to let this bear go. And then it got down to southern Missouri and they tranquilized it and shipped it all the way back up north. And I'm like,
that poor bear.
Every state was like, what the heck? This like male bear decided I'm going to go join the Arkansas population.
So that's what's
and just like how did it know where? Like what was going through that animal's head?
That like 100%. Like so, we'll say like West Branch or Roasted, like. They got bear up there, obviously. Yeah. We got property up there. We got bear on our camera all the time. Why hasn't more bear done that in the last 200 years, per se?
Right.
But all of a sudden that one bear does it, or people say that, you know, they could see the bear slowly coming down, whatever it may be. How come that hasn't happened in the last 200 years and they kind of just stay in that area? There's just a lot of like weird scenarios, I guess, that I ask myself. And it's like, how?
And like, I would feel that you would see it in the past because I feel like
less populated areas and cities, and
we're more populated now,
mm-hmm.
but I feel arguably we're way less observant than we were 30, 40, 50 years ago because everybody's got their face buried in technology at every turn.
I mean, probably, I'm not talking down, but we went out turkey hunting this morning, and I ended up walking down the tree line to check a separate field on the property. Walked down, seen a bird, tried to make a move on it, so we walked back down the same property. And I don't know how I missed it the last 4 times I was out there or whatever, but there was a shed laying right on the side of the tree line. And I know I walked past it like 10 times already, and it's like, what? How? I mean, it was all chewed to shit, but it's just like you said, observant-wise, I mean, right. I don't know.
You know, I mean, when you got a one-track mind and you're focused on something at the same time, you know, like, I mean, if somebody's driving and they're just focused on driving, I can tell you, like, my dad, myself, whatever, we're always looking for deer or whatever. It just...
How many times, I mean, everybody could say, like, I don't even remember how I got here. Like, I was completely coherent, but, like, I was just so focused on this and just, like, out in left field in my mind, and I don't even remember what was going on. I just showed up here. You know what I mean? Like, it happens all the time to everybody.
Yeah. Like, I mean, how many times have you just completely missed, you know, an hour of your travels on the interstate? It's like, wait, what? Right. How did I make it all the way to Lansing?
I thought I just filled up with gas and now I'm already on empty. Like, what the heck's going on?
I mean, I completely zone out every time I go to Wisconsin. Well, one is I have to drive through parts of Illinois, including Chicagoland, and you know, honestly, southern half of Michigan is pretty boring. Like 94 across the state is it's pretty boring road. The only nice part is if you're in the morning or the evening, you do get to see a bajillion deer around Jackson.
Right. Let's take a quick breather from the action. Let's talk promos. Grab 25% off Hunt Proof with code GREATHP25. Save 20% off Cooler Guard using code GLO. You can take 15% off your order from Hodag using code Great Lakes. And take 10% off Pattern Pros using code Great Lakes 10. Now back to the show.
With the state passing, I mean, so they just passed the rifle line. It's non-existent. They're doing the $1 rule starting next year, not this upcoming year, but the following year, with a point restriction on the buck only tag and then a non-point restriction on the combo tag.
Yeah.
I think that was really all that's passed, correct?
One of the biggest things, well, there's a lot more than that, but those are the main points. There's some like small finer details with some other things around it. But one of the biggest things we always talked about in fisheries was simplicity's sake. And they have added a very complex arrangement to this. They went like all out, all at once. I'd like to know what you guys think of the rifle line. Because like for me, that was different coming here.
I'll let Trav say it because I mean he's more about like the deer, and then I'll voice my opinion about it.
I mean, I grew up above the rifle line, so like moving down to the Kalamazoo area was a whole different beast for me, and I immediately got a 450. So I mean, it's pretty. And where I hunt, I don't need to have a 270. I don't need to have a 300 Win Mag to where I'm at. I'm not shooting 400 yards at a deer, which I would never do anyways. But I just don't see the need for it. And that's I don't think 450, 350 using a 12 gauge with buckshot. I think that's really what we need. But I know there are a lot of ag down here where a 270 or a 3 Win Mag would do you some good down here. So I think it's difficult, right? Where there's so many populated areas where now you're going to get a Yahoo with a center fire rifle that may not know where his backdrop is, and there potentially could be some injuries from it.
And that's kind of where I'm at with it too. You could already use a rifle per se to predator hunt down here. And I know there's not a ton of predator hunters out there compared to deer hunters. I understand that. But you could use a 30-06, if I'm not mistaken, to shoot a coyote during the daytime. So who's to say that people aren't using rifles already down here? I mean, obviously it's illegal, but illegal, but they were still probably doing it. I don't think that there's going to be as many hunters going out of their way to buy 30-06s and high-powered rifles. I mean, and if you do already have one per se, I feel like you're somewhat understanding of where you're shooting at or whatever. I feel like it's safer, even though you can shoot predators during the day with 30-06. I feel like it's safer shooting out of a tree stand with a 30-06, somewhat aiming at an angle downwards. That was one of the biggest things for me that was kind of shocking to me, though, in all reality. If you're in a let's say a food plot that's 100 yards by 100 yards, you're not going out and buying a rifle just to have one with you. You're probably still going to use a shotgun or a 350, 450, whatever it may be.
I think people are going to buy them, like, because it's like they're going to use them. Like, it's like people with crossbows. Like, it's legal to use a crossbow. It's like, well, I'm going to use a crossbow now because it's legal to use it.
If your property, though, doesn't have that space, though, I mean, there's no reason for that, though. So, I mean, I don't know why they would. Crossbows are a little bit different because you could use them anywhere, though. You're not going to go in a woods and just buy a 30-06 just because you can, I feel like nowadays, especially with pricing.
Now, here in Michigan, though, didn't the straight wall cartridge go into effect like something like 6-8 years ago? Wasn't it shotgun before?
Less than that, yeah. It was shotgun muzzleloader.
Yeah, so when I moved to Michigan, I think it was back in 2019. I think that was the first year. Because I went out and I bought a Winchester XPR 350 Legend. And I was like, dang, you can't use rifles. Like, I had been in Illinois, which Illinois was shotgun where I was. Iowa started allowing straight wall cartridge long before Michigan. And they saw a lot of success with that. Your modern day shotgun, your 12 gauge with a good Sabo, with a good Sabo can poke 250, 250 yards. These straight wall cartridges, you can hit 300. I mean,
would you do it?
Would you do it? Yeah, exactly.
It's possible, though.
But like my 30-06, I was born and raised with rifle everywhere. Granted, I am in very hilly river bluff country, and not very populated. But in my time frame of hunting, the counties just south of Madison, Wisconsin, very agriculture dominant, very moderately flat, were shotgun only until a certain year. And I can tell you, so Wisconsin always had in-person registration stations with deer. That's how it always was. We were one of the last states to get rid of the back tags that basically was a license plate for you walking in the woods hunting.
Right.
And that was, honestly, was awesome because a DNR official could figure out who you were from a distance with binoculars.
Right.
If they could see your back. The counties just to the east of us were shotgun only until I don't know how old I was. But that first year that they opened it up was ridiculous. When they opened it up to rifles, we didn't have more injuries. But I can tell you one thing. So, obviously with taxidermy, I am concerned with the new regulations. Obviously not a lot of people shoot $2. I do have a lot of clients that do bring in $2, but not a lot of people do get $2. So I could have a loss there. But opening it up to rifle, you will absolutely see more big bucks killed this year.
100%. 100%.
Those counties that opened up when I was younger next to us were known big buck counties. But when they opened it up to rifle, that's when they went downhill for big bucks. And they went downhill really fast. 2 years. And it's like every 4.5-year-old, 3.5, 4.5-year-old was wiped out. And now they're not known as like big buck territory.
Now, with that though, was that a $2 rule for you guys?
Wisconsin, as long as I've been hunting, so when I started,
Burn a buck, right?
So when I started hunting, you had to be 12 years old in Wisconsin.
Okay.
Now, like, there's no limit, like most states are doing, like kind of leaving it up to the parents' discretion. But when I started hunting, I was 12 years old. And my dad's rule was you had to start with a shot. Like your 12th birthday, you got a Remington Model 870 Express 20 gauge with the slug barrel and the bird barrel. That was your first gun. You could squirrel rabbit, do whatever the heck you wanted with it. Your first 2 deer seasons, you need to hunt with slugs. You're not getting a rifle. You're going to hunt with a shotgun. That was his rule. I was successful my first year. I got a doe. I was successful my second year. I got a 6-point buck. Super happy. Brown it's down mentality. We did deer drives. We had 16 people in the woods. And deer drives are technically dangerous, but when you do them right, like you don't have problems.
Just like a rifle line in reality.
It is in a sense, it is a $2 state. You can buy it. The way it works in Wisconsin is you can buy a bow license and you get a buck tag. And in my region, you get 2 doe tags issued with it. In the past, there's been 3 doe tags, but we're back to 2 doe tags. And you can buy a gun hunting license. So it's not a combo license like any weapon goes. Ours is bow or firearm. So you buy a license for bow, you get a buck and 2 does. You buy a license for gun, you get a buck and 2 does. The buck with the bow license needs to be shot with the bow. The buck with the gun license needs to be shot with a firearm.
So technically, $1 for like
yes,
if you're using the rifle per se.
The doe tags are interchangeable any season statewide.
Okay.
The other thing is we talk Michigan with their deer management units. What's different in Wisconsin is when you buy your license, you state where you will be hunting. So I state that I will be hunting southern farmland. I say Grant County, which is the county I'm in. That doesn't mean I'm restricted to Grant County, but it does mean that I'm restricted to southern farmland. I cannot go into the middle farmland or into the Northwoods and shoot my bucks. So like that's where a lot of controversy is coming over this combo tag and potentially
choice at UP.
or you can get $2 in the UP. Like now when you buy this combo tag, can you use that doe tag and go up to the UP and get a second buck?
They said yes to that, I believe.
Yeah, and it's crazy to me. In my opinion, it should be stated like, hey, I'm going to hunt DMU this. Like, I don't know. I haven't paid a lot of attention to it. I didn't hunt much here in Michigan for deer because I found out that, well, one, there's not a lot of good public land down here in southern Michigan, southern metro,
right,
and south of here.
There is some, but it's kind of hidden off the beaten path, and
Or the other ones that are like the major ones, like Pinckney and Bald Mountain, and all those. You got to drive an hour and 15 minutes, and I'm like, I do not want to wake up that much earlier,
right?
And do this and do that because I'm dead at the end of the day. Like I went fishing today. I'll be honest, I am dead tired right now. But,
that's what's crazy. You're gonna go finish the deer. It's already 10 o'clock.
Yeah, and I've been going since 4:45 this morning, and I was out in the sun all day. I'm sunburnt, whatever. But like for me, it just became easier to go back to Wisconsin and do my gun deer season for a few days. And last year, I was supposed to go back and do 4 bow hunts, like 4-day weekends, or 3 4-day weekends, and then do my gun season. It's cheap for non-resident Wisconsin. It's $200. $200, and you get 3 tags, a buck and 2 does. And then for non-residents, doe tags over the counter, I believe, are $20 a piece.
For non-resident, or resident?
For non-resident.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, I could shoot 17 does a day if I got the tags to do it. I think you can only buy 3 a day or something. They do limit how many you can buy daily, but I mean, if you wanted to go out and buy doe tags until they're technically out and have 175 doe tags by gun season, you could technically shoot that many does when gun season rolls around. But it's been so different because like, and Illinois has, they have a 7-day gun season that has a split. It's 4 days. So it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then it's Friday, Saturday. It skips a week and then it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or vice versa. 3 days, then 4 days. I don't remember which. It's been a few years. But they used to do it. The way they did it is a $2 state. So, but you couldn't get your second buck tag until you shot your first buck tag or your first buck. And that was for residents. I can't speak for the non-resident system. I think non-residents are restricted to $1 in Illinois. There were a lot of changes in Illinois across the last like 10 to 15 years because what ended up happening is people would travel from out of state because Illinois is big buck territory. And they'd buy a doe tag. They'd have that monster walk by them. They'd shoot it, and then they'd buy their buck tag the same day. But they're like, I have an excuse to hunt and have a gun or bow in my hand, but I'm not going to spend the $450 to get the buck tag because it's really expensive. Wisconsin's not expensive at $200. It used to be $160, and I'm like, we have family land. We got 46 acres that we hunt. Across the street, there's about 85 acres. On the back side of that property in their fields, there's more acreage, but they have relatives from Milwaukee come over and hunt. Just over the hill from my parents, my mom's like second or third cousin owns a farm and owns more property. Down the road, we have 350 acres of state land. It's getting a little more populated with people, but by midweek, you can go in there and maybe get a doe. But like it's crazy, like how the system is set up. Like in the other states, you kind of have to elect like what region you're gonna hunt. So for them to say, hey, yeah, you can hunt down by
wherever you want.
You can go hunt Monroe County, and now you can take your doe tag up to the UP and shoot a second buck. Like it just doesn't really make sense to me.
The thing is, like for me personally, and this is just my opinion on it, the guys that are I'm all for the $1 because, like you said yourself, like there is a small percentage of people that are shooting $2 for the year, and everybody knows that the younger generations aren't buying licenses, they're not hunting at all. So I would rather go out and see better quality deer in the future instead of a bunch of spikes running around. That's me personally. Obviously, it's all about location, and then you're worried about like the taxidermy side of things. What is, in your opinion, like the percentage of somebody bringing in $2 in that 1 year to mount both of them?
To shoulder mount, no. I don't think I've ever had somebody bring in 2 to shoulder mount. One as a Euro or 2 as a Euro. Which means usually if there's 2 as a Euro, they are smaller. I don't necessarily great. I advocate for shoot what makes you happy.
100%. Yeah.
But
you can't tell me what my trophy is. I can't tell you what your trophy is. 100%.
Like, and I totally agree with, if you want to be a meat hunter, shoot a doe, shoot a mature doe.
That's my thing.
Is
if you need the meat and you go deer hunting for the meat because everybody says you can't eat the antlers, then shoot that doe. Because and then you said too that the bigger bucks got shot in your home area. Oh yeah, right. So that in my opinion is bringing you more revenue that way. Even though you're only shooting $1 per year, more people are shooting higher quality deer with the rifle line. And like I said, if a lot of guys only shoot one deer, if they're even lucky, one buck per year. So why not just keep it $1 and the rest does if you're actually going out there for the meat? I mean, how many guys were going out there just to trophy hunt then at that point? I mean, you can't tell me that you're saying you're not a trophy hunter, but you're complaining about just not shooting does for the meat. You're trophy hunting, I guess, at that point. Yeah, I might have said that backwards.
It was kind of interesting though, right? Like because the UP, like one of the reasons why they kept it a $2 hunter's choice was because of like the hunting heritage. If I remember listening to it correctly, was one of the things they stated. But it's like, okay, now you're discrediting the hunting heritages that are in southern Michigan and in the northern part of the lower part of the state. So it was just interesting to. If maybe there was more that I'm missing to that, why they kept it hunter's choice. But one of the things that stood out to me was that hunting heritage and going to the UP and having those hunting camps. But it's like, it's the same thing in other parts of the state of Michigan.
Unfortunately, though, hunting camps all over the state are dying. It's a dying breed. And it's an unfortunate thing. Like back when we were all kids, I know you're not from around here, but like Trav and I, you lived on your guys' home farm, but like, it was tradition for the whole family to go up north and to go out to the camp and roughneck or whatever it may be. Whether it's the deer hunting or not, it's gone nowadays.
Well, like in the same aspect, so my grandma had property. My parents were both raised on farms. So my mom's mom had property, and like her brothers hunted, her sisters hunted, she hunts to this day. She's 66 years old.
That's awesome.
You know, my dad's 68 years old. And like they still hunt, they're still pushing through it. But when I started, there were 20 of us hunting. You know, when I was 12 years old, I walked along from like 9 years old till 11 and then started hunting at 12. And every deer season, opening morning, we met at grandma's house and we all sat down, and she might have some breakfast ready for us at like 4 a.m. And like we'd all just chit chat, and then, well, where are we going this morning? And like opening day, it was a deer drive, right? Like we might go sit for an hour, and then the deer drive started, you know, and we're that kind of territory, because Wisconsin to this day is another aspect that a lot of states don't have. We have party hunting for deer. So if me and you are together by law within sight and sound, so you could be sitting 250 yards from me on a field edge, I could see you and scream to you. And if I have 2 bucks walk in front of me with a rifle,
oh, so you could shoot.
I could shoot your buck and my buck
and use my tag
legally, as long as we have that agreed between us and we're still within sight and sound of each other. So that's party hunting in Wisconsin. We did it for years, because with a deer drive, I mean, we're in hill country, and you know, we'd line that a lot of the roads go down the valley. So one landowner would own that hillside, and we figured out through time, even to this day, like I could round up a dozen guys and tell you exactly where to sit on these properties that we used to be on, that we aren't anymore, and tell you exactly where to sit. Those of us who were going to walk and yell and scream and do whatever and sing songs and whatever.
I'm glad I wasn't a part of that.
We know exactly how to move every point and push deer in areas that we want them to go. And it was huge fight back.
Were you singing?
Oh yeah. Well, I was more of the sitting crew until I got older.
Like, and then you were singing?
Yeah. It's saying some weird stuff, man.
I'm glad it's happening. Every window in that county was broke.
Dude, my cousin had a little jingle that he'd yell, and it was always that like military cadence, you know.
The
and
drummer boy.
One morning when we were sitting at Grandma's house, he sits at the table, or he had to be maybe like 15, and he goes, "Deer, come right here, so I can shoot you in the ear." And he whips around and looks out the window. Pitch black out, 4:30 in the morning. He's like, "Oh dang, it didn't work." No lie. That afternoon, Corey got a deer, and there was a perfect 12 gauge hole through the ear of that freaking deer. He took 2 shots back to back. He did not walk up to that deer and put a round through it just for a joke. I have no idea how that ever happened, and we laughed. I mean, we, you know, to this day, I mean, it's been 20 years, 23 years, and like it's just still a memory there.
That's what's sad about it all, though. Like going back to like the tradition. Jeez, oh, Pete, couldn't get that spit out. It's just there's not a lot of people that could even like say that, or even new traditions starting. You know what I mean?
And
it's
like,
sad.
And like we want to start it with our kids. I'm sure you said you got a 2-year-old at home. I'm sure when they're 5, 6, 7, you're going to be introducing them to this. Like I asked my son literally a couple days ago. He'll be 5 in August, and I said, "Do you want to go hunting with me this fall?" And I'm like, and I haven't, like, he doesn't know much about guns. Like his strength, some of these Nerf, like I kind of want to just get him started with Nerf guns,
right. Just to get him in
messing around at the house. Like, don't shoot at me in the face. You're never going to point a real gun at a person, or just like set up little target practice things, whatever. Because like I debated last Christmas getting him, you know, a little BB gun, and I didn't. And I'm like, he's just not ready. Like he's small. He is a very small 4-year-old. He's the smallest in his class by a long shot. And, you know, he'll catch up, but I know he's not ready, and I wonder if 5 years old is going to be ready. I feel like it's going to be 6 for him.
To go out or to pull the trigger?
To even use like a BB gun. Just kind of like get to that point. But like it's so, like I want to teach him that. And just last night, like we found a toad in the yard. Like, and he got into worms like 2 weeks ago, and he's been every day, "Dad, flip some rocks, find some worms, find some worms." And like I said earlier, his leg's broken right now, so like he's not very maneuverable. So he just kind of like sits there, waits for me to bring stuff to him. Then I gotta give him dirt, and I gotta give him worms, and I gotta give him a bowl of water, and I gotta give him this and that. Well, now all of a sudden he's like, I want to go find some bugs. And no lie, the only thing I could find other than worms was the garden centipedes. And those things
man.
creep me out.
Yes.
And I gave him one, and he kind of, like, it ended up dead. But
Right. Good.
then all of a
I'll
sudden,
say that out loud.
my fiance mentioned roly-polies, sow bugs.
Those aren't bad.
And I found some sow bugs, and I gave them to him, and he had a lot of fun with those. And then last night I found a toad, and he's not about, like, he was really brave when he was really little, and then he kind of got, like, scared of everything. But last night I got him playing with that toad, and like we had to, like, kind of holler at him a little bit, like, be gentle. It's a wild animal.
Right.
You still need to respect wildlife, and I think it was a great starting point. Even though it's just a little toad, we're like, you're going to respect it.
You got to introduce him to things.
Yeah, you're going to respect it. And I even told him last night, I said, because I did ask him, I'm like, do you want to hunt with me in the fall? Now, when we do hunt, we still respect the animal. But I said, anything we shoot, we are going to eat. And I said, we are not going to leave it lay or anything like that. And we will respect that animal and we will eat it. And he's like, okay, but like, he was playing with that toad. And I'm so proud of him because, like, where do we start our kids to get them into this? And like, maybe that's the first step, like, to just respect wildlife. Like, my fiance's side of the family is like, her mother will literally pick a worm off the sidewalk and put it back in the grass. She will pick flies off the window when they get in their house, and she will go release them outside. Like, she is just an animal lover. She doesn't want to kill them. She still respects that I hunt. She still respects that I do taxidermy. But she is an animal lover to every sense of the word. And, like, I don't want my son to be that. Because, like, well,
you do, but
I do.
Yes, I know what you're saying.
I want him to understand the, like, complexities of hunting, and hopefully we can get him to enjoy it and love it. And I said, like, I would have loved to go turkey hunting this spring.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anywhere to go around here, but maybe next year I'll find a spot. I got a nice, 270-degree see-through blind, and just pop it up and chill with him. If he wants to bring his tablet, bring his tablet. I don't care.
Glenn from GK brought up to me the other day, from the beginning of the season, turkey season. His son is, he's been wanting to get his son out there on a bird. And he kind of said something to me, and it kind of really stuck, honestly. And I feel like this might be a big reason, too, where he'd love for his son to shoot one. He's finally at the age where he thinks he could pull the trigger and get one. He said he thought to himself, though, about it, and said that he doesn't know if his son would fully understand what he just did or accomplished. So why would I have him do that? And then, he'll forget about it 20 minutes down the road. Like, right. he would rather have his son shoot one and be stoked about it, or be begging him to go out there and actually have a gun in his hand. So I feel like it might be a thing where people might even introduce them too soon, and they don't build, like, the eagerness to keep going and learn about it. They kind of just hand them things, and then they don't fully understand the concept of it all after that. Like, he'll shoot one, or any kid will shoot one. 20 minutes later, it'll be on their iPad or whatever it may be, and it'll be just a memory. They won't remember the story, right? Forever, like 20 years later down the road. They'll just, oh yeah, I got that when I was 6 years old, and that's it.
I like the fact that I wasn't able to hunt till I was 12.
Because you have to understand it more.
I got to understand it a lot. And I did get to walk along. Like, my brother was 12, 4 years before me. So my mom worked days. My dad truck drove. So he was over the road maybe like 2 to 3 days a week. So, like, if we weren't being babysat by, like, my mom's sisters or grandparents, then my dad had us during the day. And when we would go hunting, obviously my brother's 12. He wants to hunt. He's been, like, introduced to it. Well, where am I supposed to go now? I'm 8 years old. So I tagged along with Dad, and we'd squirrel hunt. I mean, I didn't get to pull the trigger, but I got to be there. Right. And I got to, like, understand it and be a part of it. And, like you said, you have a 2-year-old. And, like, at what point do we introduce our children? Like, my son is 4.5, and he's really wanting to fish a lot right now. And I'm really proud of that.
Fishing is, I feel like, a really good stepping stone. I feel like, you know what I mean, like, to really get them out there and start understanding about it. It's obviously different than deer hunting, in my opinion, but it gets I don't know, but I feel like it's just a good learning thing, a good step, like I said, a good stepping stone.
But, like, do you have an age that you want to start your kid?
I mean, so for me, like, I could start hunting at 10 years old. We didn't have the mentee program like it is now, where you can start at 5 or 6 years old, whatever it is. And so when I started hunting, it was at 10 years old, you can use a bow and arrow. And then at 12, it was a rifle. So for me, like, I think that, 8, 9, 10 range is a sweet spot. Like, I think a lot of it's going to not be on my son, but be on me. Because I want him to be out there. Like, when we're on the tractor doing food plots, he's with me. When we're out looking for sheds, he's with me. Like, he loves it. He loves being outside. He loves wildlife. So I think you'll have that appreciation, like enough appreciation to understand what you got, right? Like if a 6-year-old goes out and shoots a 140, like in Michigan, that's probably a once in a lifetime deer in some cases. Like, are you really going to appreciate that deer to its fullest at 6 years old? Probably not. Maybe not even at 10 years old, So I'm thinking probably that 8, 9, 10 range, probably where it'll be maybe some small game before that. But like for me, some of my greatest, funnest memories are from just hunting with my dad, right?
Yeah.
Like not even the shooting part, is just being out there with them, learning that,
Getting
that aspect of it.
Sticks and everything else behind them.
Why is it every father is like, you're so loud, and you're sitting there like,
you're moving more than me.
You shut the door and he's like screaming at you.
12 is making a lot more noise than by anybody.
Yeah.
I like that we kind of align on that though, and it just popped in my head right before I asked that. I think a lot of the reason it's a lot like, well, everybody wants the 140s, 160-inch bucks. I think a lot of it does come down to like social media and the way things have been presented with these 4-year-olds hunting now, that us as fathers have that competitive sense in us that it's like, well, dang, my son's got to shoot one at 4 years old. And it's not a necessity. We need to be better fathers in knowing when our child can respect the resource and actually have an understanding. Like you said, 8, 9 years old is a really good point to have an understanding. Some kids are going to be more mature than others. Some aren't going to be. Some, like my son, are pretty small and probably, I mean, I know for a fact it's going to be a couple of years before he can even hold a gun on his own, but I've looked into these, nice chairs with those shooting rests that swivels and everything, if not even for him, just to drop in a nice ground.
Right. I think a big part of the age gap that we have in the hunting world, the fishing world, whatever it may be, like the license sales are obviously lower in the youth per se. I feel like that might be a reason, because the parents push them too early to get into the sport, and then like they've done it before, so why do they feel like they should keep going about? They don't teach like the steps to get to that point. I feel like
I think you can terrify a kid and just push them away from it too.
100%.
Like, I mean, it's no different than
look at Trav, he's still scared of the dark.
It's no different.
Out in this room right here.
It's no different than your little kid. I want you to be baseball. I don't like baseball. Well, you got to play baseball. I played baseball. I was good at baseball. You got to play baseball.
Right.
Well, it's the same with hunting. I mean, it's no different than any of this other sport that a parent pushes you into.
I feel like just more parents don't realize that they're pushing them away than, I don't know. No kids don't want to do food plots when it's 100 degrees outside either. Like, you're going to force a kid to go out there and do that, and he's like,
yeah, you're not making him. He's like, I want to go with daddy, right?
There's a difference between all of that, I feel like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think
the difference between 2 and 8 years old, though, he's probably going to have a totally different perspective of sitting on dad's lap at 8 years old versus 2 years old on the track.
Well, but it starts early, though, with him understanding like why you're doing that and like the process of doing that. You know what I mean?
He's probably going to want to drive the tractor at 8 years old. So.
He's already wanted to drive it at 2 years old. So, yeah, he'll definitely be driving it at 8 years old for sure.
On my bass boat, this new one, the console is very tight to my body, and my son wants to sit and drive the boat. And I mean, like, my hands are on top of his, obviously, because it takes a little bit to control a 19.5-foot bass boat with a 225. But he loved it. The last time we were out, we went over on Belleville, but I mean, like, he's at that age, he's
Brian,
Dad's best friend.
Our buddy Brian in Ohio. He does a lot of like filming for us, pictures, and he's helped us out tremendously with the podcast too. He's got a kid, and he's got a pond out back, so he bought him a little like rowboat and put a little trolling motor on it, and the kid just goes out there fishing by himself and just kind of goes around it. Like, I'll have to show you a Snapchat from today, just them walleye fishing today. It was just, I don't know, it cracks me up every single time I see it.
Well, and that reminds me, like, when we were in 2 Fridays from now, I'm going to drive to northern Wisconsin. it's no different than being from Michigan and going up north for something.
Mm-hmm.
But we always went on a fishing vacation. It's like in today's day and age, it's like a 5.5 hour drive, 5.5.
That's not too bad.
To where we go. It's actually Burnett County, which is, if you guys are familiar with like the whitetail record books where the Jordan buck was shot,
Okay.
which held the world record for many years. So the only year my parents have missed since my brother was born was the year I was born, because we go the weekend after Memorial Day. And I was a May baby, so they couldn't go that year. So since I was 1 year and 1 month old,
Gone every year.
I have been going to northern Wisconsin to the actual. We started just outside the town of Danbury, where the Jordan buck was shot, and now we have since moved because the owner of the cabins we had got in trouble with the law, and they closed them down for a couple of years. So we moved to a different area closer to we're still in Burnett, but we're closer to Polk County now, which is the next county south. And
how bad was it though? How bad was he in trouble?
It was in Michigan. You don't think it's trouble at all, but it was sale of marijuana. And this was, 15, 20 years ago in Wisconsin. Wisconsin, I still think, is not legalized.
So he's like white boy Rick in Wisconsin, basically.
Well, he had gotten busted for the third time with intent to sell, so he went to prison, and he had quite the abundance of marijuana. So
he's got some street cred.
His parents had ran that place for decades, and then when he took over, he ran it into the ground pretty quick. But we moved to this other place, and I wasn't going to go, but some life situations presented an opportunity for me to go. So I'm going to go up there and kind of take a little time to me and, enjoy some up north fishing. I wish I could take my, my son, cause like we said, getting him into the stuff, and he's really at that point, but it can't,
it'll be time.
He can't go on the water all day, every day. And this, for me, it'll be pretty much sun up to sundown for like 7 days straight. It'll be a good time.
You better work on that tan, I'll tell you that much.
Dude, if this burn goes away, you got to get one good burn, I guess, at the beginning of the year. Right?
That is true.
But yeah, it's going to be a good time up there, and it's not much different than like how you guys go up north here. Right. Michigan and Wisconsin are a lot alike in a lot of aspects. And
do you think Michigan's Midwest?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think Ohio is.
Okay, I agree with that. Screw Ohio. I don't even like Ohio anyways.
But
I just heard it from there's a
Wisconsin is way better than Michigan, though. Sorry, any fans you guys have, but
all I know is you live here now, so you better choose wisely.
I kind of got sucked into that.
No, you're here now. So
DNR left, but I had a kid before I left the DNR. I kind of got locked in.
Well. You're here, so go blue.
Oh, that's another thing.
Them Badgers over there.
we've been pretty rough for several years here. But that actually dives back into it a little bit. So I actually had my son. It would have been August, and I actually left the DNR in January. And at the time, anybody in the state government here was getting 12 weeks of paternity leave. And they're like, well, are you going to take it? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take it. It's full pay for 12 weeks.
It's crazy if you don't.
And I get to be with my son for the first 3 months of his life. Yeah, of course I'm going to. Like, who knows what's going to be going on with his mom? Like,
right.
Whether it's postpartum or if it's, if she had a C-section. So obviously, there's some recovery there. And she got 16 weeks from her job, and she actually never went back. She had another job lined up by the time she got back that paid better and was more local.
That's the ultimate move right there. Yeah.
But when I got done with the 12 weeks, I got back to the DNR, and it was like I had never worked for him before.
Really?
It was like I was treated like dirt when I got back. And I mean, it was probably only 6 or 7 weeks before I left. But this was during the COVID era, too. Like, COVID was just dwindling down in late 2021, early 2022, and I don't know if everybody was on edge and they just didn't want to treat me right. Like, I went back into a system that was only working like 2 to 3 days a week in office, and I was just like, all right. And when I went back after the 12 weeks, I did not feel welcome. And it's funny because I was asked, are you going to take the 12 weeks? And I was like, yeah. And all the people were like, why wouldn't you? Why did you ask if you didn't?
If it's not in front of you.
Yeah. Right. And then you agreed, like, yeah, you definitely should. Okay.
Hoping you weren't.
Did you want me gone then? Or did you hope that I was going to or wasn't going to? Like, there were so many questions there. But I even told my fiance when I got back after like a week or 2 weeks, I was like, I don't feel welcome. Yeah. I'm like, it doesn't feel good. And I'm just like, it just isn't it anymore. Like, and I wanted to move up, to different places. And I applied within reason to like take our newly formed family somewhere. And I couldn't find anything. Like, it's such a competitive market within the Department of Natural Resources. And like I said, I think they're more they're looking for highly educated people, but at the same time, like,
they want to keep it the same almost, it feels like.
I feel like I've been a pretty good sense of character throughout my life. And there's been a few times like where I've been at least involved with interviews or had people walk through, like where they introduce them to the office before they have an attempt at hiring them. And I'm like, don't hire them. Like, they're not going to cut it. And like 2 months goes by after hiring them and they're like breaking everything and like can't get anything right or don't have any understanding of like scientific methods. And it's just like, I told you, like, I gave you fair warning. And every time I've actually said it, like, it was spot on. And I'm just like, this person was awesome. Like, why did you buy it? And it comes down to some things that we're all fighting politically right now within our nation. And it sucks, but I mean, it goes both ways all the time. And it was a tough road for sure. Like, I fought tooth and nail. I have like, it was 4 years to get bachelor's in fisheries management and another bachelor's in biology. I double majored. I could have went another semester and had like 4 minors. Like, I was really close. I was really close to a chemistry major as well. And I love chemistry. I'm one of those like math and science nerds and not like history or English. And,
yeah, I'm not.
But then I worked for 6 years in fisheries. I went to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and Arizona Game and Fish Department, and then I went to the Illinois Natural History Survey. And I told myself, I said, if I don't have a job by my birthday, which was May 5th, a job or grad school, I'm gonna move up to Rhinelander, Wisconsin, which would be like Gaylord of Michigan. A lot of lakes around there. The Wisconsin River, the upper portions of the Wisconsin River flows through the area. Great fishing, just like great timber around, good hunting, good fishing, everything. Really small, quaint, tight-knit communities. And I'm like, going to Rhinelander, gonna start guiding crappie, bluegill, bass, walleye, muskie, whatever there is to offer. Just know 20 or 30 local lakes and go for it. And no lie, like 3 weeks before my birthday, I get a call from grad school. You want to come down and be my student?
No, I don't.
Like, my life
was all planned out.
I was getting so close, and it was actually it was the day after my birthday. I left Illinois, so it was May 6th. I had everything loaded up and left for Arkansas, and it was a good time. I really enjoyed it. My professor was awesome. Arkansas was a good time. It's definitely a different demographic. But
I'm sure it is.
I had a lot of fun down there. Probably too much fun for being in grad school.
You gotta have that.
But and there's been so many comments on a couple of my recent posts, like, "Oh, you're uneducated. Like, you don't get this and get that and whatever." I don't know how much it means, but I'm the only person that has ever went through that program at that university and got a 4.0. So, like, I didn't do that in undergrad. My whole focus in undergrad was to like fish and have fun and be a young male. And then I got to grad school, and after 6 years of working, like, my professor even told me, he's like, dude, like, working definitely helped you in grad school because like you understand stuff.
So were you trying to say something when you were a young male?
No, not in that manner.
Oh. I don't.
Just meaning, like, you want to like just mess around and like do your own thing and like have fun fishing, hunting, whatever. And it's college, and you're just always doing something probably other than class, sleeping in, missing your 8 a.m.s. You know, it sucks that I still had a decent GPA, you know, enough to get into grad school, obviously. Grad
I
school.
would say so. Yeah.
You know, and
You said you had a 4.0?
in grad school.
Yeah, I'd say you had probably decent.
Yeah, I think I had like a 285 or something like that in undergrad. I had like a 350 in high school. But I don't try, like, I never studied or anything. It just like came naturally, which was pretty sweet. But like grad school
Must be nice.
grad school was so different. Like fisheries is very statistics heavy, and that's why I started running through like those numbers when I said like, yeah, that is a big buck on Facebook. I mean, anybody should be proud to shoot a 125-inch buck, and then everybody fights you. Oh, I got this 140, and I see 140s and 150s all the time. And then you click on their profile picture, and the biggest deer they have pictured is like a 115.
Yeah.
It's like, well, one, you either haven't ever had a deer scored, or two, you actually have no idea like what a big buck looks like. So.
And it's definitely a reality check too for those people out there that, like, say myself, like when I see a deer, I'm like, oh, that's definitely a 120. That's definitely a 125, you know. And then you get it scored, and it's like 110. You're like, oh, yeah. I need to do some recalculating in my brain here.
A little off.
Well, and pictures and videos and everything, dude, it's so different because like your trail cameras distort the edges, you know, because it's trying to get a good field of view. But as soon as if you're only getting a picture of a deer on the outside corners of your camera, that deer looks 15, 20 inches better than it actually is.
Right.
And but like I was saying before, like about the Jordan buck being up in Danbury, this is the next crazy thing. Grant County, Wisconsin is where the Johnny King buck was shot, a half hour from my family's land.
Holy crap.
And with the recent studies we talked about earlier about deer moving 35 to like 50 miles now,
right,
when it used to be a range of like 5 to 8. And it's like, well, I saw a deer on our family land when I was 14 years old, which was around the same time that Johnny King shot that buck in Mount Horeb, Wisconsin on their family farm. It's like 30 to 35 miles by road. So as the crow flies, it's less. Because the road has to wind through hilly country.
Right.
No lie, I saw what was a potential world record. I had it at 15 yards, and it was early doe season. Try being like, I don't know, I can't be 100% sure if I saw that I might have been 15. I was 14 or 15. I think I was 14 because my mom had watched them for a couple of years and gotten some glimpses of them during gun deer season, but could never get a shot off. And we watched them go from a 10 to a 10 to a 12 pointer. And like, I remember it vividly, plain as day, because I saw him twice. I saw him once at like 350 yards. And then I saw him once at 15 yards. And he walked up to me during bow season, like wide open field, like there's no obstruction, anything like that, like cut corn in the fall in Wisconsin. Just on the corner of our property and the neighbor's like 1,000 acres of field. And he just stared me down. He's like, I know you can't shoot me. It's so crazy how those old like big bucks like have an understanding of that.
They know.
And like, I mean, I'm talking like 14 to 16 inch G2s and G3s, like 6 inches out past the ear tips on both sides, perfectly symmetrical 12 point.
I mean, even turkey season, you're getting deer that are walking right up next to you. Like we had like 6 deer this morning, like walk within 10 yards of us, and it's like, how do you not smell us or anything?
Right?
Are you crazy right now?
But like after years of like doing taxidermy and then like seeing these big bucks and like seeing the picture of Johnny King's buck, like it makes me question like my remembrance of it. Like did he have like a split between those G2s, or was it like how they fight with Boone and Crockett, like a fused G2 at the base, shared base? And I just sit here and I'm like, Johnny King's buck is like perfectly symmetrical. And I'm like, that very well could have been the same deer that was on our land 30 miles away that year before or whatever. Right. And it's just nuts to me because like I say in my video on Facebook, I've had a couple of missed opportunities at bucks that are maybe like 140 to 150. I had one that was probably 180 inch in Illinois that he needed to take one more step for me to fling an arrow, and I was sitting on the ground and he wouldn't take the step. you know, and that kind of stuff happens. I know we all have our horror stories,
sure.
but like when I said earlier, that deer on Pennsylvania, second biggest deer I've ever seen. This one when I was a teenager, just stupid. Like I've never seen a deer. I've never seen two deer that could fit the rack in that one deer, and it's just nuts how big it was. And like I hope to one day have that opportunity again, because obviously at one point there were those big deer around, but our property consistently puts out 120-inch deer, and everybody's like, don't shoot the big deer, let them go another year. Well, guess what? We don't get them. And this year I ran my trail cameras through the winter, and we had those deer on camera again. Post season, post gun season, there's not a lot of bow hunters where we hunt, and I will never see that deer again.
Right.
I will not see it next season, and not the 200, you know, but like any of these like 115-inch bucks. We had one buck this year that a lot of people were saying on camera that he's 150-inch, but trail cameras distort, so maybe he was like a 130, 135. But I mean, we had. On 46 acres, I had 35 different bucks. I only had about 7 does. So we got like a 5-to-1 ratio buck to doe, which is awesome.
Solid, yeah.
Which is awesome because those bucks need to compete to progenate, like we said earlier.
Right.
We got the food, we got the shelter. Now they need to compete to breed. And what's almost any wild animal have to do, like evolutionarily speaking or whatever, to survive in the wild? Be the biggest, baddest you can be. And like, even though it may take years for that to like establish, if you got the right ratio, like our bucks are going to consistently get big,
right?
You know, and I mean, big body deer too. I mean, our deer, we've never weighed a deer. I know we've shot maybe 1 or 2 that have broke 200 field dressed, and like that's another thing. A lot of people have no idea what a deer actually weighs field dressed.
I mean, it depends for sure.
Yeah, but
go ahead.
I was going to say, consistently over there, which is one of the craziest things. We are in hilly country, but our deer with taxidermy, the necks are 1 to 2 inches bigger every single time that I get a deer over there. I actually kept a spare cape of a 3-pointer a couple of years ago. It was I didn't mean to get it. I thought I had a crisscross of deer late in the evening with like a minute of shooting light left, and ended up pulling the trigger on the wrong one because I saw the massive body and it was kind of dark enough you couldn't see antlers anymore.
Right.
Went up to it, and this little 3-pointer had a 22-inch neck. For most deer outside of the rut here in Michigan that I mount have about a 18 to 19-inch neck.
Crap.
And this 1.5-year-old 3-pointer had a 22-inch neck. And I'm just like, dude, I'm going to keep that cape to use as a spare cape if I need it. But it's nuts over there. It's a lot of fun. And just like the differences I get to see in like the management and stuff. But those big bucks, I don't think I'll ever see them again. Like I've tried to follow bucks through years, and we can't. Like we don't get them. We know the neighbors don't get them because we have close contact with these people. And even like I had 35 bucks. A guy kitty corner down the street or down the road, maybe his closest portion of his land is maybe 400 yards from our land, 500 yards. None of his bucks 2 years ago when we were really talking, none of his bucks on his 85 acres were any of the bucks that were on our 46 acres.
I mean, I get a lot of deer too that like I don't even see, but the neighbors like right next door get like pictures of them. It's crazy how deer move and can elude certain spots. I feel like I don't know. This stuff in Michigan is really just gonna be interesting to see. Like I mean, I told you guys, I don't think there's any scientific merit to how they actually went about this. Like I truly believe they should be issuing 2 to 3 doe tags for every combo tag down in the southern zone. Because like if you're issued the tags, you want to fill the tags. That's just kind of how it works out. Like, why are we managing bucks if we're trying to manage does? It would make sense to like, I get the roundabout way that they're trying to claim, but like if you issue me 2 or 3 doe tags, I want to fill those 2 or 3 doe tags. Well,
you know,
I'll say this:
don't make me pay for them.
And then this after
pay extra.
Probably have to drop before my phone dies again. But if you want to, and then we can get into it at a different podcast. This is going to open it up, and I'm going to leave it at this. If you want to kill more does, and get better quality bucks, why not create the youth hunt doe only again and eliminate shooting bucks? Because then you're allowing kids to get into it. You're not having them shoot 140s and shooting their dream buck. Yeah, it'd be awesome to have your kid do it. But what's the difference between them shooting a doe and a buck? And it in my opinion, solves a lot down the road.
I would say, and I'll end on this because we could debate it all night and discuss this all night. I think that the deer debate in Michigan right now is about as big as the wolf debate nationally.
Yeah,
It is
agree with that.
crazy what we are going through here in Michigan. For any of your guys' listeners that are outside of the state, it is.
Oh, it's everywhere you look.
It is nuts here in this state right now, and I realize other states are going through things as well. But
it's huge.
I've never in conservation management, in taxidermy, anything. I have never seen so much controversy over one like outdoor related thing, especially on like
this type of level.
It's a large scale, but it's a small scale because it's just a state.
Right.
And like I said, we could debate this all night. We could debate, but like deer in Michigan is just nuts right now.
We'll come back in. We'll have some more conversation about this because we could definitely go down some rabbit holes that we barely touched today. Yeah. Which I think would be good. But I greatly appreciate you coming in today, man. Where can people find you? Where can they get a hold of you at? Where?
Yeah, obviously, like, there's a phone number to contact. You can find me on Google if you type in Heritage Taxidermy. There is one other Heritage Taxidermy out in California, I believe. I don't know if their doors are still open, but they, you can find me on Google. But the biggest avenue is Facebook. Like, if you want to see content or anything like that, I do share some taxidermy tips and tricks for anybody who is aspiring to be a taxidermist. I've been getting a little more into that, but I never used to share that stuff. Share some random stuff, just kind of like livelihood. But share a lot of finished stuff too. A lot of people want to see finished mounts and such. I treat it differently than other taxidermists because I told myself I'd stay true to myself. I'm not an editing type person. Green is what you get. I may shoot 2 or 3 videos just to like get my words out properly, but it's going to be green. I'm not going to sit down and make edited videos, which the other taxidermists are. And that's fine. Like, I like their content too. But, it's just a little bit different with me, I think, that aspect.
That's what it should be in reality.
I've been seeing, like, with different content, I've been debating about just kind of opening it up as Heritage Taxidermy and outdoors because, like, obviously I fish a lot. I hunt a lot. Right. I don't want somebody to visit a taxidermy page and be like, oh, why is it all outdoor stuff? I mean, I've been dabbling with a GoPro a little bit when I'm fishing, and I'd love to share that on the taxidermy page, because my fishing page never really took off. So if I could switch to outdoors, we'll see. But for the most part, Facebook is my avenue. You can message me on there. I respond accordingly. I do some national stuff. My deer hides are a really big hit across the nation. I bet you I've shipped finished deer hides to 30 different states.
Wow.
Cool. And that's kind of what made it as big as I have been on social media. I bet you I gained 20,000 followers just because of deer hides, which is crazy to me. It was an overnight thing too. But Facebook and Google, Heritage Taxidermy, and we want to. And he had a little thing he said earlier, and he did it so nonchalantly. And you didn't even mean it, but you said like preserving the heritage of like people and like deer camps and everything like that. And that's exactly what I want. Like, I want people to remember where they came from, and like, this is our heritage. Like, we have hunted for millennia. We have fished for millennia. Like, this is our heritage. This is where we come from. And that's why I named it Heritage. And the craziest part was I had that name before I moved to the area. And the area has a ton of heritage around it. We have Heritage Park. There's Heritage Insurance, Heritage this, Heritage that.
That's pretty cool.
And I actually had the name for the last like 15 years.
Awesome.
So it was kind of fitting that I live here in downriver metropolitan Detroit now. And
yeah, that's sweet.
But I mean, we always take things shipped in, shipped out, whatever. Can crate anything, ship anything, but obviously the local market is best.
Right. Well, I appreciate you coming in again, man. Trav, I appreciate you staying on the phone.
Thanks for
and
having me, guys.
appreciate everybody tuning in on this week's podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you on the next one.